One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, everybody, what's going on? Hey, listen, I had to jump on a little bit earlier than expected. I planned this show for 1 p.m. Obviously, it is 12:47. Reason being, I'm out of breath because I had to run over here. President Trump has scheduled a luncheon with African leaders, so I wanted to cover that before we got into everything. So that's coming up very shortly. As soon as that comes on, we'll go ahead and jump to that. And not sure how much of my show I'll be able to get in, because we've got this at whenever they go live. It's imminent as I'm looking at different things. And then, and then at 1:30, I've got Congressman Tim Burchett coming on for an interview. So we're going to be talking about that. So in the interim, let me just talk about a few things without getting too deep, because if I get too deep, then we're going to end up getting cut off and have to jump to this event at the White House. But as soon as that comes on, we'll do it. So anyway, so much going on in the news today. So very much going on. One of the big things that happened today that you may not be aware of, or you may be aware of, is that Joe Biden's doctor was subpoenaed to the White House. Joe Biden's doctor was subpoenaed to the White House and was told that he has to, not told, but decided he was going to appear for questioning. He appeared all right, and that appearance lasted probably about 5 or 10 minutes before he decided he was not going to testify. So, as everybody is still reeling and upset and confused and everything else about what happened with the Epstein stuff, this decides to happen. And people are all pissed off about it as well. So everyone's in a pissed off kind of mood. I'll let you guys take a listen to what happened earlier today as I'm scrambling here to put it together so you guys can see it. Here, you can take a listen to it yourself right now.
And the investigation into the alleged cover-up of former President Biden's decline could be getting a little contentious. So former White House doctor Kevin O'Connor was set to testify this week before the House Oversight Committee. But the looming question is whether he will show up. So Chad Pergram live on Capitol Hill. And Chad, there's often this push and pull between the executive branch and the legislative branch. How will this one turn out?
Well, the question is often, what's up, Doc? In this case, the question is, will the doc show up? James Comer is the chairman of the Oversight Committee, and he told me yesterday he expects him to be here. Listen.
I don't think anyone in America, including the most liberal person on MSNBC or the biggest Democrat in America, believes that Joe Biden was anywhere near as healthy as Dr. O'Connor would continuously publish.
The White House has waived executive privilege for Biden officials. Kevin O'Connor could invoke the Fifth Amendment. That could make it a very short or a very repetitive interview. O'Connor's attorneys say testimony could violate doctor-patient confidentiality, and he could lose his medical license. The committee could move to hold O'Connor in contempt of Congress.
He's been given the subpoena, and now he wants to avoid his subpoena because he wants to prepare a whole series of special exemptions for himself. So he wants to claim that he's got immunity from testifying, but there is no immunity right here.
Republicans want to prep legislative remedies for future presidents who may be checked out. We asked another doctor in Congress if lawmakers should compel physicians to testify.
I can see both sides of it. I can certainly see, as a physician, you take an oath of confidentiality with every patient. If there's a national security issue, does that outweigh that relationship?
Now, there's another interview scheduled for Friday. That's Ashley Williams. She was the deputy director of Oval Office operations under President Biden. And then sometime in the next couple of weeks, Ron Klain, he was President Biden's chief of staff. And so far, no sign of the good doctor. Back to you.
All right, it's kind of empty there, Chad. All right, thank you.
All right, so he got the subpoena. He was told to come. He got there and then said, no, I'm not going to testify. He responded. He did what he was supposed to. He appeared for the hearing, but then he pled the fifth and walked out. So I understand, because I've even talked to people close to me, i.e. Ashley, and I understand there's a lot of people not just pissed off with Epstein, but the whole of government. The government as we know it today is got people just in this funk of what the hell do we do? Is it just more of the same? Is it completely stacked against us? Are we never going to see any retribution? Is everybody going to just do whatever they want to Americans and never have to account for anything? Is that where we are in this country? Which I'll then have to hold for you, because President Trump I knew it. I knew as soon as I started talking. I just knew it.
This is nothing like the White House to me. We are represented today, and your continent is represented by Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal. All very vibrant places with very valuable land, great minerals, great oil deposits, and wonderful people. Last month, the U.S.-Africa Business Summit had recorded an attendance record, actually, and generated $2.5 billion in new economic deals for the United States. On June 27th, the foreign ministers of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda visited the White House to sign a historic peace agreement that we worked out. They've been fighting for 30 years. 7 million are dead, and they think the number is actually quite a bit higher than that. It's been a long and vicious fight, and I just wanted to say that the countries represented were very happy that we were able to solve that problem. I think over the next couple of weeks, the leaders of both countries will come to sign the final agreement. As you know, we had foreign ministers last week. But we're going to be signing an end to the horrible 30-year war been going on for a long time. I've been reading about it, hearing about it, and it was a vicious war. It was a terrible war. I want to thank our outstanding senior advisor for Africa, Masad Boulos, for helping to mediate this breakthrough. He was very much involved in that settlement. Most people thought it couldn't be done. But there's still much more to be done, and we're going to be facilitating peace also in places like Sudan, where they have a lot of problems, Libya and others. We have there's a lot of anger on your continent. We've been able to solve a lot of it. My administration is committed to strengthening our friendships in Africa through economic development efforts that benefit both the United States and our partners. And we're shifting from AID to trade. We had AID, or aid as we sometimes call it, right to trade. And trade seems to be a foundation that I've been able to settle a lot of these disputes, like as an example, India and Pakistan, Kosovo, Serbia. I said, you guys are going to fight, we're not going to trade. And we seem to be quite successful in doing that. To that end, we have closed the USAID group to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, which was tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse. And we're working tirelessly to forge new economic opportunities involving both the United States and many African nations. There's great economic potential in Africa, like few other places in many ways. In the long run, this will be far more effective and sustainable and beneficial than anything else that we can be doing together. I'm eager to work with each of you on your vital issues and also to discuss security. We've encouraged our staff at the White House to work along with these nations. There's such tremendous wealth there and potential there. We encourage the countries here today to make greater investments in defense, hopefully, of course, buying our equipment, because we do make the best defense equipment. I guess we proved that about 2 weeks ago in Iran, but we make the best equipment, best military equipment anywhere in the world by far. There's nobody close. And keep pursuing the fight against terrorism, which is a big problem in Africa. Immigration will also be on the agenda, and I hope we can bring down the high rates of people overstaying visas and also make progress on the safe third country agreements. And once again, I want to thank you all for being here, and it's an honor for me. Some of you I've met, and some of you I just got to meet, and I think it would be nice if you said a few words to the press, which is right back here. Do we have a camera over here? It'd be nice if you could, oh, there it is. You could speak to the, you don't want to turn your head so much. I do it a lot. It's not pleasant. But perhaps we could start with you, please. Thank you very much. Great gentleman, by the way.
Merci pour m'avoir donné la parole, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you for giving me the floor, Mr. President. First of all, I would like to thank you, Mr. President Trump, for inviting us to come here today. I'm President Ghazouani, President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania. Thank you, Mr. President, for this invitation and the invitation you sent to the other colleagues present here today. This is a very strong message from you, and we are receiving this message very well. This is a message of interest that you're sending to us, and it's a message that you're sending to the whole of Africa. All of this is generous on your part. We are receiving this, and we accept this message from you. Before I talk about my country, I would like to let you know that we are delighted to see President Trump's commitment to our continent. Mr. President, In the short time you've been back in office, the last few months, you came to the rescue for peace. You did it in Asia with Pakistan and India. The war sort of started, and if it had gone on, the consequences could have been a real disaster. Since the beginning, you've been doing a great deal of work on the war in Europe, that is the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. You rushed to Africa to resolve a long-standing problem. Lots of efforts had been made by many heads of states, but your will made it possible for this agreement to be signed. And now, this conflict is behind us. You are currently working with a great deal of enthusiasm. And you're also working on the Middle East. You're paying a great deal of attention to the Middle East. We all know how far back this conflict goes. It is a conflict that is about 80 years old. 70 years? But it is also a war that has been raging for a year and a half. And you've also talked about the human toll. Many people have died in this conflict. Of course, you also stopped the war between Iran and Israel. That could have been a real disaster for the region. It's a sensitive region to start with. Your work in favor of peace has been tremendous, and we are also very interested in supporting peace in the same way. When there's no peace, like you said earlier today, when there's no peace, a lot of other things are lacking. When there's no peace, it is difficult to have prosperity. It is difficult to have calm, to have a sense of quietness. It's hard to sleep. It's hard to go about your business every day. You understand that well, Mr. President, and you're working on this. So thank you. I am the president of Mauritania. Mauritania is a small country. Depending on the criteria you apply. If you look at the number of people who live in Mauritania, it's a small country because we have about 5 million people in Mauritania. We might just be a little bit over 5 million. It's a small country also in the sense that what influence it has throughout the world. It's not like the US, Mr. President. Internationally, we understand that our weight, our influence is not that great, and we have no complex about this. It's also a small country because of our level of prosperity. We're not a very prosperous country. We have many problems related to the well-being of our population. But it is also a great country, a big country in other ways. Mauritania is a great country in the sense of its strategic position. It is on the Atlantic coast, which makes it a neighbor to the US. It is what unites North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, or what links the two. That is its strategic position, but also in terms of resources. We have a great deal of resources, many, many resources. And we have a lot of opportunities to offer in terms of investment. We have minerals, rare earths, rare minerals. We have manganese. We have uranium. And we have a good inclination that we have lithium and other minerals. We're the second largest producer for the last 60 years in Africa of iron ore. We produce a lot. And we have a lot of resources in our seawaters, so lots of fishing and whatnot. I don't want to spend too much time on this.
But I appreciate it very much. I appreciate it. Maybe we're going to have to go a little bit quicker than this because we have a whole schedule. If I could just say, your name and your country would be great. Thank you, please.
Muito obrigado, Sr. Presidente Trump, e sobretudo.
Thank you, Mr. President, and for welcome and everything. For us, it's the second time here to come as a guest. The first time we had that meeting in Guinea-Bissau, but I will not talk so much. But Guinea-Bissau is a peaceful country, and we are a small country, but we are a great state. Not a great state like the United States, but we are a great country as well. And to end, we are be following your dynamics and the war with Russia and Ukraine. And you can count on Guinea-Bissau. Thank you very much.
Recent celebration of your 249th anniversary. We did in Liberia at your embassy. Mr. President, we thank you for this opportunity to be here. Liberia is a longtime friend of the United States, and we believe in your policy of making America great again. And we also go a long way with you in your diplomacy that has to do with economic development and commercial friendship. Liberia has a lot of minerals, and one of the things we ask as good friends for a long time is the opportunity to do a survey of our minerals. Mm-hmm. And also we are committed to peace, and we've been very lucky within our region. We are a country that have had a series of democratic elections, and our country has been cooling down. And also we want to encourage American involvement in the investment in Liberia. Yeah. We'd like to see that happen. We want to work with the United States in peace and security within the region because we are committed to that. And we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you, and such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. It's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well,
Very
and
good, sir.
they come from.
That's not me. And not sure what they're doing here. Sounds like it's back on.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. It's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well,
Very
and
good, sir.
they come from.
Okay, so it was in both feeds, so it wasn't anything that anybody was doing. There's something wrong with the feed mic. because both feeds are having the same issue. Maybe the interpreter's not talking. Oh, okay, they didn't put the mic in front of him. Here we go. Come on, push the button before you start talking. Well, I guess they don't realize it. Okay, here we go.
Homologue président africain. Je voudrais avant tout remercier ici officiellement
No microphone for the speaker.
le travail, l'amitié entre les différents pays.
No interpretation.
Parce qu'aujourd'hui, le président Trump
There's no microphone for the speaker.
est la fierté du monde entier. Dans plusieurs domaines, le domaine économique,
Still no microphone for the
le
speaker.
domaine politique. Et au niveau diplomatique, je salue. les
Could you
efforts-
turn that on? Yeah. Just press that. There you go.
Yes. Et au niveau diplomatique,
I would like to commend you, Mr. President, for the success you had in reaching a peace agreement between Rwanda and the DRC. Africa is a vast continent that has many problems, and we truly count on you for your assistance in Sudan and in the Sahel, because no investment can be made when there is a war. For investment, you need peace. The other heads of state who are here with me represent countries that are at peace, and that has been the case for some time. When we also have raw materials, minerals, rare earths. We are not poor countries. We are rich countries when it comes to raw materials, but we need partners to support us and help us develop those resources with win-win partnerships. That is our wish. I often listen to your remarks and speeches, Mr. President. We also want our raw materials to be processed locally in our country so that we can create value and to create jobs for youth so that they stop dying. They are crossing the sea, the ocean, to go to other countries. That is what we want, to have local processing of raw materials. Gabon is a rich country. We have over 2 million inhabitants and a great deal of diversity, raw materials, oil and gas reserves. And we would like those resources to be tapped using an economic model that fits. Since our liberation, we have changed how we do trade. We have focused on transparency and bids for anyone who wants to come invest in our country. If you follow the news, we have also worked on agreements with the European Union, and we wanted to review those because we didn't think that those were win-win opportunities. So our market is open. We want to process manganese locally, which you purchase through a company called Aramet. And I'm sure that it's more expensive compared to when you can come and buy it directly from us. In order to do this local processing, we need 8 to 10 gigawatts of electricity. Again, this is an open bid. Any American company that wants to invest in electricity in Gabon is welcome to take advantage of that opportunity. Now, looking at defense, the Gulf of Guinea is an issue. There is maritime piracy in that area, and we want to work together to stabilize it. You said you had the best equipment, the best military equipment, and that's what we'd like to have so that we can stop maritime piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. We can't do it alone. We need a reliable and strong partner that is committed and that takes real steps, real action. We also need to be pragmatic, and that's what you are. And I'm a general, and I am too. I'm pragmatic. I like it when things move quickly. Our country is free, open to one and all. You are welcome to come and invest. Otherwise, other countries might come instead of you. Thank you.
Good job. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I would like to thank you for this invitation. It is an honor for us to be here at the White House and to have this opportunity to speak with you about the new partnership that you are putting in place with Africa, particularly for investment. I also wanted to commend you for your commitment to peace throughout the world and the incredible diplomatic success that you had with the DRC, as my colleagues mentioned. You said that this put an end to a long war that claimed many lives, and thankfully, you were here to put an end to this 30-year war. I also wanted to express that Africa supports all efforts to bring back peace to Sudan, Libya, and in the Sahel. Mr. President, as you've seen, you can only do business when there is peace and security, and you build peace everywhere in the world so that there can be better investments. The entire world is grateful to you for this. Now, with respect to my country, Senegal, I've been president for some 15, 16 months now, and I want to reassure all American investors about our country's political stability and our favorable regulatory environment, which we are continuously improving upon in order to attract more investment. I wanted to speak about two projects that I think are an exceptional opportunity. I will speak about the U.S. Ecological Survey, which can help assess the potential of the minerals in our country. And thanks to American companies, we've been able to discover oil and gas. Some 950 billion cubic meters of gas that we can tap into in order to support our economy. And again, here we were able to do this with an American company. Another project I'd like to mention, and again, I would like to invite American investors to take part in this. It's for a digital city. We identified a space within the city of Dakar. It has a view of the sea. It's on some 40 hectares, and this is a great opportunity for American tech companies to come in and make Dakar a tech city open to Africa. I was wondering what your secret was for resolving all these complex crises, and I know you are a tremendous golf player. Golf requires concentration and precision, qualities that also make for a great leader. Senegal has exceptional opportunities to offer, including in the area of tourism. So perhaps an investment could be made in a golf course in Senegal. It would just be 6 hours by flight from New York, from Miami, from Europe, or from the Gulf, and that would be an opportunity for you to show off your skills on the golf course too. Thank you for your attention, sir.
Nice. Some way to show off my skills. It's a long trip to show off my skill, but that's really nice. And he's led a very interesting life. He looks like a very young person. He's a little older than he looks, but a fantastic job. He was treated very unfairly by his government, and he prevailed. And so congratulations on that. Really, congratulations. It was a great job. And you've all done a fantastic job. And so we'll be talking to you as we have the meal. Do you want to ask any questions, please? Where's my reporter from Africa? There you are. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mr. President.
Very famous in Africa. Okay?
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Miss, I have one question for the African presidents and one question for President Trump. As you can see, Mr. President Trump, all the African presidents are very happy with your efforts to bring peace in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. My question to you is, today you are making history by receiving 5 African presidents and showing the interest of the United States to collaborate and to work close with the African nations. African continent is watching, African youth is watching, and this new approach that your administration is taking to deal with African nations, not only based on help, but in doing business that everybody can win, is really much appreciated for all the Africans. My question is, are you planning, Mr. President, in the future to travel to Africa to see firsthand all those countries in Africa, all those potential that those countries have? And for the African leaders, my question is, as you can see, President Trump is working to bring peace not only in Africa but also in the world. Are you all considering to nominate President Trump for a Nobel Prize Peace?
That's a very nice reporter. I got to meet her 2 weeks ago when we had the Congo and Rwanda, and we had some other people up from Africa, and I was the first time, but that's a very nice, I appreciate the questions, very nice actually. Would you like to, at some point I would like to go to Africa, absolutely. We're going to see what the schedule is, but at some point I would like to do that very much. Would you like to give a fast answer, please?
Thank you very much. Of course, we are supporting this.
Microphone, please.
Microphone, please.
Of course, on soutient cette dynamique.
We are in favor of this dynamic for peace. We are very committed on peace. I am the first head of state who went to Russia and who went to Ukraine, both, since the start of the war. I held the presidency of ECOWAS, and I went to see Mr. Putin. We spoke for 4 hours, and then I went to Ukraine. I spent 12 hours on a train to speak to President Zelensky. But now the weight of President Trump is something else altogether. We are with you. We are behind you to see what we can do to help bring peace back. No one wins when there's war. So you have our support so that we can bring peace back. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President Trump. Thank you for your questions. A Nobel Peace Prize, while I don't see any problem with it, I think that President Trump deserves it for all the efforts that he's worked on. And he brought peace back in the SEAC region. That is my region, the region where DRC and Rwanda signed a deal. And so he is now bringing peace back into a region where that was never possible. So I believe that he does deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. That is my opinion on this.
Well, thank you very much. Very nice. Thank you. I didn't know I'd be treated this nicely. This is great. We could do this all day long. Thank you very much. Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, I believe that we have to continue to support America's in the strength to be able to bring about peace in the world. America is a melting point and also a country that we all look forward to, and I want to encourage you, because without peace, we can't have a world to live in, and we stand with you on that.
That's right. Thank you. Well said. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for your question. Very important question indeed. Forgive me for saying this, but unfortunately, I don't really understand. I don't know how things work when it comes to Nobel Prizes, but I can guarantee you that Mauritania would never be opposed to President Trump receiving a Nobel Peace Prize, because he's already working very hard in favor of peace throughout the world, with no distinction, no regard to what continent it's on, and he's working on areas where there are tensions everywhere, and he's committed towards peace, and our world needs more peace. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The jury will decide. It's not a matter of voting amongst our countries, but what is for sure is that the results and the work has been done in such a short amount of time show that you would be a good recipient. And I'm sure that the jury sees that, and the rest of the world sees it as well and understands it. When the time comes, I think everyone will see that it is a deserved prize. Congratulations on what you've done so far. If we took a poll, I think you would be very far ahead in those polls.
It's very nice. All of you, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Peter?
Thank you, President Trump. James Comey and John Brennan, now under criminal investigation related to the Trump-Russia probe. Do you want to see these two guys behind bars?
Well, I know nothing about it other than what I read today, but I will tell you, I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell, and maybe they have to pay a price for that. I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people. So whatever happens, happens.
And now, a few weeks after the strikes that you ordered on the nuclear facilities in Iran, there is an Iranian official who says you, President Trump, have done something that he can no longer sunbathe in Mar-a-Lago. As you lie there with your stomach to the sun, a small drone might hit you in the navel. It's very simple. Do you think that's a real threat? And when is the last time you went sunbathing anyway?
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. I don't know. Maybe I was around 7 or so. I'm not too big into it. Yeah, I guess it's a threat. I'm not sure it's a threat, actually, but perhaps it is.
And on one other subject, two Democratic senators now, Cory Booker and Alex Padilla, have a new bill out. They want to require CBP and ICE officers to have legible IDs, and they don't want CBP or ICE officers covering their faces. Would you ever sign that?
Well, they wouldn't be saying that if they didn't hate our country, and they obviously do. I'm surprised that they would do it, knowing a little bit about them. I don't know them well, but these officers are doing a tremendous job. They're great patriots. If you expose them because of statements like have been made by Democrats and others on the left, usually, mostly, I think probably exclusively, you put them in great danger, tremendous danger. And it's sort of funny when people picket in front of Columbia, in front of Harvard, and they have masks on, more than masks. I mean, you can't see anything. Nobody complains about that. But when a patriot who works for ICE or Border Patrol puts a mask on so that they won't recognize him and his family, so they can lead a little bit of a normal life after having worked so hard and so dangerously, there's a problem with that. So they have this is the problem with the Democrats. They have they have a lot of bad things going on in their heads. They've really become they've lost their confidence, number one, and they've become somewhat deranged. I want to do whatever's necessary to protect our great law enforcement people, and they are right at the top of the list.
And your Agriculture Department also announced this week that they are going to start limiting Chinese ownership of American farmland. Why do you think that the Chinese have been buying up all this farmland in our country so close to military installations?
Well, I don't want to get into that. I have a very good relationship with President Xi. We're going to see, and I'm going to, they're going to be making a recommendation to me, but we have a very good relationship. As you know, they're paying a lot of tariffs to the United States now, and so I'm not going to get into that right now. Yeah, please.
Yesterday, the Wall Street Journal reported that the White House was weighing whether to send another Patriot air defense system to Ukraine. Can you confirm that reporting?
They would like it. They've asked for it. They're very rare indeed, because a lot of systems have been sent to Ukraine. But they would like to. I know they made the request. We're going to have to take a look at it. It's very expensive system. It's a shame that we have to spend so much money on a war that would have never happened if I were president. That's a terrible, terrible war over there, and it's really a shame. It's very sad. When you talk about a system like that, highly sophisticated, tremendous amount of money, and they're doing it because they want to prevent death. They're getting hit hard, very hard. So we're looking at it.
Also on Russia.
Yesterday, sir, as well, Ukraine was hit by over 700 drones sent by Russia last night. What's your response to that attack?
Well, I've been sort of letting people know I'm not happy about what's going on. It's a war that should have never happened. It should not happen now. They're losing. Now it's up. I've been saying 5,000. Now it's up to 7,000. Think of it, 7,000 people a week on both sides. 7,000 people, young, mostly military people, young souls are dead and dying, and it should be stopped. Should be stopped. Very sad to see what's happening. Yes, please.
Sir, can you explain how you calculated your latest round of tariffs? Was there a formula that was used? And do you expect any of these countries to face tariffs as well?
The formula was a formula based on common sense, based on deficits, based on how we've been treated over the years, and based on raw numbers. And we're going to have a couple of more coming out today. Brazil, as an example, has been not good to us, not good at all. We're going to be releasing a Brazil number, I think, later on this afternoon or tomorrow morning. But they're based on very substantial facts and also past history. You look at the past history, we never had anybody in the White House that understood the numbers or were into it like I have. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, hundreds of billions, and we haven't even started yet. And it's going to be a great thing for our country. I think it's going to be a fair thing for the world. And we really haven't had too many complaints because I'm keeping them at a very low number, very conservative, as you would say, number. And we haven't had, I'm sure they will be complaining at certain points, but we haven't had complaints. We've been treated very unfairly by both friend and foe. And friend has treated us very badly. It's not even believable that for so many years, I was using tariffs in my first administration. We had the most successful financially administration that there's ever been. This is going to be much better. But we got cut short with the COVID because I didn't think it was appropriate when, Italy, Spain, you saw the horror show that a lot of the countries went through. So I cut it a little bit short. But we took in hundreds of billions of dollars, and we had the most successful term ever from a president financially. But this is going to be much more successful. Yes, please.
Do you expect any of the countries here to face tariffs as well?
I haven't thought of it, but I don't know. Let's see, I like him, and him. No, I don't think so, not too much. It's very good. These are friends of mine now.
Yes,
Thank you for taking our questions, Mr. President.
Okay.
You talked about the amount of external revenue the country has brought in thanks to your tariffs. Can you talk about how these hundreds of billions of dollars that are getting brought in will help grow the country, and what do you hope to put it towards?
Well, bigger than the tariffs actually are the fact that when you charge the tariffs at a certain point, they say, well, we can't pay those tariffs. It doesn't make economic sense. These are wealthy countries, and they or their companies will come into our country and build, and that's what's actually happening. If you had a very low tariff, there'd be no incentive to do that. If you have no tariff, like we used to have, which is so stupid, it's not even believable, but then obviously they make their product, the product in their country. They have the jobs, they have the income, they have the taxes, they have everything, and they just send it into us, and it's jobs that we wouldn't get. Now the wheel is turned. And what we're doing is, more important, we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, money that we've never seen before. But more important than that, we have a lot of people that would rather not have to pay that. So they're coming in and they're building plants. AI, we're leading everybody, including China, by a lot with AI. They're building their own plant. You heard me say yesterday, they're building their own electric generating plants to go along with the factories or plants that they're building. If they want to do that, we're getting them fast approvals, very fast turnarounds. They're using mostly natural gas to start off, but they're using coal. They have the right to use coal. They have the right to use nuclear. Nuclear has come a long way in the last 5 years. So we're getting them very fast approvals. We have factories and plants building at a level that we've never had in this country before. Yeah.
And secondly, a study from the Council of Economic Advisors. You put it on Truth Social yesterday. It showed that your assessment that tariffs would slow inflation was accurate, and that the prices of imported goods since February has fallen. That your assessment was right, the critics were wrong. Why do so-called experts continually misread your economic policy, sir?
Well, it's not the experts, it's the fake news and a combination of that and the Democrats. I saw an ad on television today on Fox, and it was some ad about, Trump has raised costs. It's the opposite. I actually put out a statement. I brought down costs. I brought down the cost of groceries. I brought down the cost of tremendously groceries. If you remember my first week in office, the press was screaming at me about the cost of eggs. They were 4 times higher than they were just a short time ago. That was caused by Biden and stupid policies, and we got that down, and by Easter, it was normalized, and now it's actually even at a lower price. So when I see an ad like that, it's always good to respond. I feel you have to respond. It was an ad that things are more costly. No, they're much less costly. Yesterday, $1.99 a gallon. There's 3 states were selling gasoline at $1.99. You haven't seen that for a long time. And I brought costs way down. Just about every cost. I can't think of a cost that went up, but just about every cost. So what they do is they lie. They take ads. You'd almost think that the advertising station would stop it because they know it's wrong. It's such a lie. All you can do is say it's a lie and explain it. I guess I have the ability to explain it at conferences like this, so I like to take advantage of it and do it. But costs are substantially down under the Trump administration. And as you know, Biden had the highest inflation, I believe, in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but regardless, I think it was really the highest in the history of our country. And they were up to numbers that nobody ever saw before. And we have inflation now totally under control. We have a Fed chairman that, if he was doing his job properly, would lower interest rates. But we're bullying through even that. We're doing so well, it's not having that kind of an impact on us. But you want to see a rocket ship? We should have the lowest interest rates, because without us, there's nothing. And we have a strong country now, and we're taking in a lot of money. And other countries aren't even complaining. They got away with murder. They took advantage of a lot of very stupid people that sat in the seat, very stupid people, or people that didn't understand business or something was going on. But hard to believe that they got away with it for so many years. But now, and I'm treating them very fairly. Again, we have countries with tremendous deficits with us, where we have, where we essentially lose a lot of money. And we are changing that around very rapidly, and I think it's about time somebody did it. Yeah, please.
Sir, yesterday you said that you were not sure who ordered the munitions halted to Ukraine. Have you since been able to figure that out?
Well, I haven't thought about it because we're looking at Ukraine right now and munitions, but I have not gone into it.
What does it say that such a big decision could be made inside your government without you knowing?
I would know. If a decision was made, I will know. I'll be the first to know. In fact, most likely I'd give the order, but I haven't done that yet. Yeah, please.
Can I ask how your meeting with Netanyahu went over the last couple of days, and how realistic do you think a ceasefire is this week?
Well, we're talking about Gaza for the most part. I think we have a chance this week or next week. Not definitely. There's nothing definite about war and Gaza and all of the other places that we all deal with so much, but there's a very good chance that we'll have a settlement, an agreement of some kind this week, and maybe next week if not.
The African Growth and Opportunity Act, which has been central to many sub-Saharan countries having access to the U.S. market, that's due to expire in September. Are you hoping to extend that beyond it?
Well, we'll take a look at that. Yes, please.
Thank you. That's up to Congress to take a first crack at. We know that program's been in place for about 20 years, and at the end result of that, we see a lot of other countries operating in Africa. We still see a lot of tariff and non-tariff barriers in Africa. So I think any discussion about that act would also have to think about how we address those kinds of barriers.
Yeah, Peter.
President Trump, in Alvarado, Texas, a few days ago, 10 people wearing all black allegedly set off fireworks outside an ICE office to lure the officers out so they could ambush them, shoot at them. They had guns and vests and two-way radios. Do you think that this was an isolated incident, or do you think there's a national threat of a left-wing militia that is targeting ICE and CBP?
Well, I think you have some very stupid people in the left who have some money that are making it available to these people, because you look at the guns they had, they were brand new. You look at even the clothing they were wearing, it looked like it just came out of some military shop. So you have some very stupid people that if anything ever happened, they'd be the first to go. They don't understand that. They'd be the first to go. They'd be the first ones hit. But there is money being put behind people. When you look at the weapons they have, the newness of the weapons, rifles that just came out and they have the latest model. So there's something going on, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
And what do you think the penalty should be for these people who are, if they are found guilty, for people
Very
who
stiff.
shoot at ICE officers?
Very, very stiff. Very stiff. A long time in jail, a long time. And one got hit yesterday in the neck. And he fortunately is going to be okay, but he got hit yesterday in the neck. No good.
And what would you think if I read you a quote from a lawmaker who says about ICE, to abolish it, to treat them as criminals or anything that is inappropriate and outrageous? And I told you that that was Democrat John Fetterman.
Well, it's, by the way, I assume when you read that, because you paused in the middle, you're going to have to read that again without the pause. Could you read that again, please?
To abolish it, to treat them as criminals or anything that's inappropriate and outrageous.
So he's saying that to treat the people that did the shooting is... Oh, okay, good. Because the way you read it, it really was the opposite. That's okay. That's all right. I think that's what he meant. No, the new John Fetterman is exactly what you said. He's right. He's right. And we have to protect our police officers, and we will. And we have been... if you saw the stats released by the FBI the other day, the murder rate's way down, the lowest it's been in a long time, and that took place over the last 6 months. For the last 6 months, murder, it's a hell of a subject to have to talk about, but murder is way down at almost getting to be modern-day records. So that's despite the fact that we have a lot of people that came into the country that shouldn't be here.
Mr. President?
Yes, please.
So two questions, one on tariffs, the other on the IRS.
Yeah.
On tariffs, China is reportedly softening their impact on U.S. tariffs in Africa, announcing last month that they would halt charges on imports for nearly all of its African partners.
Good.
Does this move by China influence your thinking, your approach to tariffs on the continent?
Well, we treat Africa great in many different ways, including with tariffs. But, parts of Africa charge us tremendous tariffs, as you know. And they're going to be dropping those tariffs. They've already informed me they're going to be dropping those tariffs. But we treat Africa far better than China or anybody else, anyplace else. Yeah.
And on the IRS says that churches can now endorse political candidates. What's your reaction to this, and how do you expect this to influence some of the work that's afoot on the continent? There's a lot of American churches that are missionaries, doing missionary work on the continent. Do you support that?
I love the fact that churches can endorse a political candidate. I think so, because we have a lot of respect for the people that lead the church, for the pastors and the ministers and the rabbis and all different leaders, all different religions, and people respect those people. And I think there's nothing wrong. It was a very big penalty if that took place just a little while ago. They had a thing called the Johnson Act, and it was a very big penalty. I think it's great if a pastor, minister, priest, rabbi, and we could very much go into your religion, by the way, which is something that people are having great respect for throughout the world. If somebody of faith wants to endorse, I think it's something that I'd like to hear. And I can guarantee you the people that they're with every Saturday or Sunday or whenever it is they're with, they want to hear from these people. And it was a very severe penalty. Those people were not allowed to speak up. Now they're allowed to speak up. No, I think it's terrific.
Mr. President, your administration took new actions against Harvard University today. Are you still optimistic about reaching a deal with the university?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Harvard's been very bad, totally anti-Semitic. And, they'll absolutely reach a deal. Peter?
I just got a text from our colleague, John Roberts. He says that we are now reporting the guy who was arrested in the Alvarado, Texas incident for tampering with the evidence was a green card recipient under the Biden administration and a prior DACA recipient. What do you think of that?
It's very sad. It's very bad. A lot of them are here. We came in 21 million. I think it's higher than that, by the way, but they say 21 million people came in. Many of them are criminals. Many of them are murderers. 11,888 is what they say are murderers. And they came in through open border policies, no checking, no vetting, no nothing. And we have a lot of that. And despite that, we have crime down, which is pretty amazing.
And this is a
And
long
say hello
meeting,
to
so
John. Say hello to John Roberts.
I will. I'm sure he's watching this right now. A lot of news has broken since we've been in here. Axios says a secret White House meeting between Steve Witkoff, Ron Dermer, and a Qatari envoy on Tuesday led to significant progress in the negotiations over the Gaza hostage and ceasefire deal. What can you tell us about this
It's
secret
very
meeting?
possible. I will tell you, we're getting very close to a deal. I don't know if it's secret or not secret, but it doesn't matter to me. Secret's fine if it gets us to where we want to be. We want to have a ceasefire. We want to have peace. We want to get the hostages back. And I think we're close to doing it. Okay? Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks, President Trump.
Thank you, Peter.
Well, that's perfect timing because I've got Congressman Tim Burchett here lined up, ready to go. So as soon as I clear this, and we'll run a quick break to make sure that everything is working well, we'll be right back with Congressman Tim Burchett. 1 second.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Everybody who's been on the show a couple times. Interesting time for Congressman Burchett to be on the show today. Congressman Burchett, thank you for making it. I didn't know if you were going to be able to get on, so thank you for being here. Can you hear me?
Glad to be here, bro. Thank you, Barry.
So what's going on up there? There's a lot of craziness happening in the world at this point. I saw a tweet by you, but I don't know if it was somebody faking it with you, but there was something that said that if Matt Gaetz was the Attorney General, none of this stuff would be happening. Did you post that?
I did.
And what's the genesis of that? Why do you feel that way?
Matt wouldn't have gotten out over his skis on any of this stuff, this Epstein stuff. I feel like some blunders have been made. Some people, maybe some folks just didn't realize what was going on with it. I felt like, and I've said this all along, I don't think they're ever going to release the pure Epstein files. And I believe if Trump was on those files, it would have been released by the Biden administration. I mean, for goodness sakes, they knew they were going to be facing Trump again, and at that time they thought Biden they were gonna keep wheeling him out, and the national media was going to cover for him. Mm-hmm. They had no idea, how far he was going to fall and how fast, and that Kamala Harris would be the party nominee. Mm-hmm. But the reality is that Matt would have seen through all that. He wouldn't have said, "I've got these files on my desk," and then released to these bloggers these notebooks, if you remember that. I mean, it was everything. I could have educated them on that. And they were all outside the White House showing them, and just how important it looked. And they didn't realize, and I don't think she realized, that it was just old information. But again, I think that the files have been destroyed, if there ever were any. I mean, look at the Kennedy assassination. Happened 63, I believe. I was born in 64. And Chair Lady Luna chairs a committee that I served on, and I asked the question of a doctor who was in there, where did the bullets come from? And he said, one came from front and one came from the back. Entrance wounds, exit wounds. Entrance wounds, exit wounds. And he had a chart to show pretty much where the bullets come from. And why wasn't that national news? Because the machine, the swamp, I call it a sewer, waited long enough where nobody really cares anymore.
Yeah, there's a question I have with this, is that the Kennedy assassination, Lee Harvey Oswald, who got pigeonholed into being the assassinator, never survived to go to a trial. If for some reason or somehow Lee Harvey Oswald survived and went to trial, would that information from the Warren Commission and everything else have been released, or would they have held that evidence to try Lee Harvey Oswald?
I don't know. I don't think they would have. There's no way in the world that they'd allowed him to live long enough to testify. He'd have had a heart attack or pulled an Epstein and hung himself on a piece of toilet paper. The parallel I'm drawing with this is, and what I've tried to find out and dig in, I've talked to some lawyers, is messaging aside, Pam Bondi could have completely messed up the messaging and the communication and whatever they were doing with these binders and everything else. But if they intend on waging prosecutions at all against anybody, would it be prudent or even legal to release the information that they have? Yeah, I don't think it'd have been either. I don't think it'd have been either. I think it would have. It wouldn't have been prudent or legal. I'm not an attorney, but at the very least, it'd have been stupid. Right. But so knowing that and in agreement with you there, that you can't release that information if you plan on using it. Are you now feeling that there will never be a prosecution, or that there's a potential of there being some sort of investigation and prosecution down the road? I think there'll probably be an investigation, but I don't think there'll ever be anybody brought to trial. I've said that all along. I've said that months, if not maybe over a year ago, I made that statement. And everybody's like, oh, I can't believe that. That's not true. Well, that's this town. This town does not give up its guilty very, very easily.
Now, are you under any pressure? Because some of the stuff I've seen you out there talking about, in addition to the Epstein files, now there's some stuff that you've been talking about, and I'm going to take a chance here and even discuss it, where you're talking about the weather and the cloud seeding that possibly could have caused what happened in Texas and North Carolina and things of that nature. Are you finding that there's information out there that says that could have possibly be something that happened?
There's no tie-in other than just quirky timing. I proposed a bill, as did Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think mine was maybe 6 months, possibly a year ago, because I'm always getting inquiries. Every time I'm on a video outside, I do my videos, and people say, look at all the chemtrails, and I don't know. But if it's of concern to people in the district and people here back home here in Tennessee, then it's my concern. And several states have outlawed it, but they don't have really any jurisdiction other than the state. The state's not going to be doing anything. But there's patents out there on cloud seeding and stuff that they do. There's a process. I know Sean Ryan had a guy on his podcast the other day was explaining how they do it, and they proved that it actually, if you seed a cloud and it rains, well, maybe it was going to rain anyway. Right. But if you see the cloud in like a zigzag, and then you can follow that on the radar, if it shows up in that pattern, then obviously you cause that to happen. Right. And all rain does, you have a vapor, it condenses on something, and then it falls. It either falls three ways. It either falls and evaporates before it hits the ground, or what happens even in the middle of summer, you get a snowstorm. Right. But by the time it hits the ground, it's thawed, it becomes rain. That's why you have a really cold rain or even a hailstorm in the middle of summer. And so that's just the facts. And so they've proven that it actually works in some instances, but there's no inference other than the national media drawing that. I've never made a statement about causing any of that. Matter of fact, I think it's just I've talked to several members and texted with several in Texas, Roger Williams, August Pfluger, and Chip Roy. August Pfluger, actually, his sweet little precious girls were at that camp.
Oh, wow.
He got rescued. So, thank God for that. But about 20 years ago, one of them actually, in a conversation I had with them, and told me, I think 20 years ago, they had an incident very similar to that there. You're in a very dry, arid area, and the rain just has nowhere to go. If you ever go to the desert, right, old timers will tell you never park your vehicle in a gully or in a low spot, because on that one chance in 1,000 it rains, it's going to flood. And if you don't believe that, go outside just when it's a light sprinkle and listen to your gutters. And sometimes they're full of water because it just concentrates. There's no way for the water to run. Yeah. And it goes to one little point, and that's the lowest point, gravity. As I say, gravity is the law. And that's what you see in these valleys. That's what happened to Hurricane Helene when it came in down off those mountains. And it's odd that none of the Democrats and the liberals are blaming Joe Biden for Hurricane Helene and the horrible devastation that took place in North Carolina. Yeah, but they're blaming Trump for Texas.
It's crazy because, I live down here in Florida, so we have the West Coast, which is on the Gulf of America, and then on the East Coast is the Atlantic Ocean. And when I see some of the stuff that's happened in Texas, it's like it's a stationary storm. And I understand cloud seeding from an aspect of maybe it causes rain, but there's no wind. There's nothing that's moving the clouds out the way. So that would be even something else, which I don't think a lot of people take into account, because here we'll have a storm and it'll be gone in like 10 minutes because it's blowing through. Even with the hurricane, they don't stay pretty much stationary down here because there's so many forces that can move things around. But yeah, it's just been awful. Want to ask you about what happened today. I don't know if you're on this committee or not, but the news is out that Joe Biden's doctor was supposed to come in. He got subpoenaed by James Comer. He shows up for the hearing and then walks out and pleads the fifth. Even if you're not on that committee, What do they do now? Are you there? You there? Congressman? Hello? Can you hear me? I'm still connected. Hello? What happened? Congressman, can you hear me?
Well, I guess you can turn it over to the. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Possibly turn it over to the Justice Department. I don't know all the deals on it, the details. Andy Biggs, who's actually going to run for governor, I think Arizona would be a great governor, but he's on that committee. He's a very accomplished attorney. I trust his opinion, and so I just was alerted to that just now. I believe it was it technically wasn't a hearing. I believe it was a I forget what they call it, but it wasn't like a regular hearing.
Mm-hmm.
They do it in a separate auditorium where generally the politics is left out of it. It's similar to what they did with Hunter Biden.
Right,
he
right.
wouldn't come before the committee, but it was in a I forget what they call it, but there's a legal term for it. I'm just not an attorney.
Now, if it goes back and has to be enforced some other way, then it's right back to Department of Justice, as you just mentioned. Do you think that'll go anywhere? Or that's just going to die in the vine as well?
I don't know. I'd like to see something happen. I'm sick of this stuff. I'm sick of these folks abusing the system, and then nobody holds them accountable. I don't care whose party they're in. I'd like to see some accountability, and I think America would respond in a positive manner to that.
So let's look at good news. The big, beautiful bill finally got passed. You guys spent all night getting it done. What's next to, come back with some other stuff? I heard Mike Johnson say stuff like there may be additional rescission bills. What do you guys see next coming up?
I would hope to see some significant cuts that the Senate parliamentarian would not let pass in the other forms, and I would like to see smaller bills. I would prefer to see individual spending bills.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody says, Burchett would be here all night. Well, I don't care. You pay us $170,000+ a year. That's a lot more than the average Tennessean makes. I can tell you that. So maybe we ought to stay up here and work more than 4 hours a week, both parties, and let's see what happens. Let's have some accountability. Let's make every spending bill, every sponsor get up and say, you know what, this bridge is a great idea, and this is why, and make us vote on it. And then I just don't see a problem with that, but Washington sees a huge problem with that.
Well, with everything you've been saying, it seems like accountability would be a buzzword at this point. And accountability, if people truly wanted accountability, I bet you there'd be a groundswell of Americans that would get behind it. What do you think about the America Party that Elon Musk is trying to put together, and is he going to get any support from any politician to actually join him?
I suspect you'll see some that just want to kick the Republicans out. That's generally with the thought. You're seeing all these people that were turning in their Teslas and they hated Musk. Now all of a sudden, man, that's a great idea. Let's form this America Party. And obviously their ambition is to screw up the deal and kick Republicans out. That's why I think it's so important we load up the cart. We start passing this legislation to make these cuts, make them permanent. Let's hold us accountable, and let's hold the bureaucrats accountable. Yet I doubt we'll see that because we don't really have the guts to do it. We take months. I had the bill to defund the Taliban. I finally passed it. I found we're allegedly sending them over 40 million. Some people say it's more than that a week. State Department documents say they've gotten close to 5 billion. President Trump railed on it and helped us out. Now it's in the Senate. But it's taken me over a year to get to this point. So let's see what happens with it. But I suspect too many politicians on both sides of the aisle are getting some form of gratification from that, dark money or maybe something worse. And if that's the case, I'd like to see them taken out of the Capitol in handcuffs.
A lot of people would like to see that. So in closing, because I know you've got a busy day, this is going to be a loaded question. With everybody upset about the Epstein stuff, with all the other craziness that's going on, with the Democrats trying to make the mask come off of ICE people. What are you looking forward to doing, and how do Americans get the momentum back again?
I'm looking forward to just speaking my mind, and which I do, and I get warned off of it all the time. Telling me I need to back off or stop saying stuff. I remember one conversation I had with someone in leadership, and they said people were unhappy with me, and I said, but it's the truth, right? And he said, well, yeah, it's the truth. They just want you to quit saying it. And that's, I don't care. This is an incredible gift I've been given being a United States Congressman. Dadgummit, more people played professional baseball than been in Congress.
Right.
And I make a lot of enemies on both sides of the aisle. But, we're 36 trillion. We're almost 30, if we're not 37 now, we'll hit $40 trillion in debt. We had every 100 days, we had $1 trillion in debt. This country's worth fighting for. That flag that's behind me, that was on my uncle's casket. That's a 48-star flag. He died fighting the Nazis a few days after D-Day in the hedgerows. He was 33 years old. He shouldn't have even been over there, but he volunteered. Like my father, who went and fought in the Pacific and fought and killed people over there. It's worth fighting for. I mean, but we've got to do better than 12% of the population going to the polls.
Mm-hmm. I said last question. I always do this, but what are your thoughts on this communist running in New York City? I know it's not your district, but how can we allow this guy to be the mayor of the biggest city in the country?
What do you expect? We've let these people. They're running our schools, our colleges, our universities. They're running our research institutes. We've allowed this to happen. We've allowed it to happen. We are the proverbial frog in the boiling pot of water. You put a frog in a cold pot of water, it'll stay. Put it in a boiling pot of water, it'll jump out. But if you gradually turn up the heat, it'll literally boil itself to death. It won't jump out. That is what we're doing. We just, let's let them in. Well, what's it hurt if a dude wears a dress? Well, what's it hurt if a dude in a fairy outfit reads stories to my kids? That kind of thing. What's it hurt when a dude competes against my daughter because he decides he's a woman? We just moved down this path. Everything is just a little closer, a little closer. Oh, let's fund that. Well, let's just give those people a little more money. Let's supposedly give $10 million to some country for circumcisions. It's not going there. It's not going there. Mm-hmm. Quit. They're stealing. We are getting stolen from, and it's by our own dadgum people. And let's shut it off. Let's pay attention. Let's force our Congress to do what's right. Not through force, but just through the ballot box and that good old First Amendment. Start calling them and telling them, and quit believing the lies. The Democrats putting out these lies about all these people cut off of Medicaid and Medicare. Well, guess what? Only if they're using waste, abuse, and fraud. And, they keep showing these videos of black folks on Medicare, food stamps or whatever. There's more white people on food stamps than black folks. Right. Quit trying to make it a racial issue. Just make it, we need to do better for this country, for our future generations. And let's do, God's given us an incredible gift. Let's do something with it and quit wasting it.
Are there any Democrats, not even a single one, that you guys can talk to and talk some sense into? How are they always so solidified?
Supposedly they always run, I'm a moderate Democrat, I'm reaching across the aisle. But show me one vote where they went against Hakeem Jeffries or went against,
Schumer?
Or Schumer. Yeah, they just don't. They use the carrot and the stick very well. And frankly, I'm kind of glad the Republicans don't. We got some free spirits. People vote their conscience, and they do it every dadgum day. And I'm okay with that. You represent your district, you vote.
Awesome. All right, Congressman Burchett, thank you very much for taking the time. I know you guys are really busy. And number one, stay safe and keep making those videos of that crazy guy stalking you, because I love him. Absolutely. I haven't seen one in a while. Has he calmed off? Is he not there anymore?
Well, allegedly, they said he got a promotion. I don't know how you get a promotion from stalking. I don't know. I think he's as they say, he's pursuing other educational interest is what I think. I think I think he's gone. I don't think he'll ever.
That's too funny. All right, thank you, sir, once again, very much. That's Tim Burchett, Congressman from Tennessee. Are you up for re-election in 2026?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Yes,
well, we're behind you all the way. Hope everything
Thank
works
you,
out
Barry.
for you. Thank you
You're a
very
great
much.
American.
All
See you,
right, bye-bye.
brother. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody, that was Congressman Tim Burchett. And in about 15 minutes, I've got attorney Alex Sawyer coming on. We'll talk more about the whole, Epstein thing, and we're going to talk about the Supreme Court decisions that have been coming out lately, and really get into a conversation about law. But in the interim, I'm going to talk to you in a second here, for a few seconds about opportunity. But one of the things with opportunity is you have to be able to see it, and then when you see it, you have to seize it. As you were watching President Trump talk to those African leaders, you heard him say more than once about opportunity and also getting on the rocket ship. And one of those ways is by buying gold and silver. We're in a very volatile time right now. There's plenty of financial uncertainty. Now is not the time to be speculative. And I'm also speaking from a personal perspective. I'm buying income-producing real estate, and I'm buying gold and silver. A lot of people don't know the difference between the economy and the stock market. And too many people listen to the news and social media. That'll get you in trouble. Let's face it. It's obvious that a lot of people have an agenda they're not telling you about. Right now, your best bet is stability, and that means you might need to build a hedge against global volatility. May I recommend gold and silver to you? Real gold and real silver, not paper, not certificates, actual gold and silver. What gold and silver can give you is absolute peace of mind. A stock is only as good as the company behind it. It's merely a piece of paper. One of the things I can tell you is that many people are finding out the hard way that some of their investments were built on quicksand. Gold will never be worth zero. Silver will never be worth zero. If you want to calm some of your fears, give my friends at Lear Capital a call today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. Just so you know, Lear Capital has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $5 billion in trusted transactions. And Lear is the only gold company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So go to learberry.com. If you want peace of mind, give my friends at Lear Capital a call at 800-601-5430. Or look down here below and go to learberry.com. And don't forget to ask about getting up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Don't wait. Do it now. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds. Be safe. I just want to say thank you to the Fanfare community. And if you're new here, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you. If you watch my videos, you've probably realized at this point that this isn't your usual podcast. The difference is that every single day, I try to make this show an open conversation amongst friends. You see, I believe that speaking to friends, here and in your own circle offline, is the best way to push back against all the lies being told by the Democrats and the media. I encourage people in this community to welcome each other, and in doing so, become a source of support for those seeking to unplug from the matrix. If you'd like to communicate on a deeper level, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, but if you'd really like to surround yourself with like-minded patriots, join our free and private X group by going to fanfareshop.org/group. When you join this free group, a few things will happen. One, if you haven't used X before, you can use X without venturing into the sewer that it sometimes can be. Two, you can share content with friends that you meet here. 3, you will get notified every time I go live, so you can't count on YouTube notifications. And 4, and this might be most important, you get content that I can't share on YouTube or Rumble. So please take a moment and join our free and private X group. Just go to fanfareshop.org/group. Remember, it's members only. There are 16,000 plus people in that group right now, getting close to 17,000. To join our free and private members only X group, just go to fanfareshop.org/group. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
So many people in chat here, many people who watch the videos, including my daughter, many people are not facing facts. And if you heard the question I asked Tim Burchett, amongst all the other questions, it was very simple. And then once you hear that answer, there's no reason to push any further. And that question I asked him is something I told each of you last night to go begin doing research, talk to other lawyers. And that question was, is it prudent or legal to release information and evidence against somebody you may be looking to prosecute? And he said, nope, it's not prudent or legal. And there was nothing left to push. I'm going to ask Alex when she comes on the same question. Is it prudent or legal? Can you do that if you're going to be prosecuting somebody? So if you remove the emotion and look at it from a legal perspective, I can completely agree that everybody in that group has completely botched the messaging. They have no idea how bad it sounded. Instead, they could have just said, hey, listen, we're doing some investigation, which Tim Burchett said. I hope you heard that. There is an investigation ongoing. So if there's an investigation ongoing, you can't possibly release anything. Doesn't matter what it is. You can't do it. So if you can't do it, you should have said, I can't do it. Sorry. I cannot, what's the saying they always say? I cannot comment on an ongoing investigation. And then everybody would have just been, okay. Everybody would, okay, so there's something going on. They're doing something. And then everything would have been fine. So I completely agree. The messaging was completely screwed up. They completely pissed people off by the way they delivered that. But everybody telling you, hey, we deserve to see this and they're full of crap. I'm just telling you that right now. Hey, you can go talk to lawyer friends. I even talked to another lawyer this morning. I talked to JJ even this morning, Pastor JJ, who's also an attorney. Hey, can you really? No, you can't do that. Okay. Okay, that would be it. Over. Not forget about it. Not case closed. Hey, I can't reveal any information on an ongoing investigation. All right, sorry, got it. But all the charade with the binders and all this other crap, that's stupid. So, woosah. It's only been 6 months. Let's see what happens. Let's see where this investigation goes. You see, I don't know if they learned or they were covering when they came out with the Comey stuff. Hey, we've launched an investigation into Comey and Brennan. All right, we understand you can't tell us what you got. Nobody is nowhere asking, show us everything you got on Comey and Brennan. Nope, nobody's asking that. Why? Because they handled it correctly. Just, that's it. Here's an investigation that's ongoing, can't talk about it. Notice the difference? We all want to see Comey and Brennan and Clapper go down, but we're not entitled to that information that they have. She just botched the delivery. I mean, completely. She should have went to PR school or something. That was horrible. Absolutely horrible. But in any event, before Alex comes on, I want to get into a little bit of what President Trump has talked about, an opportunity and recognizing opportunity. And so if you've come here to commiserate about Pam Bondi, this isn't going to help you, because I want to focus on things that are going to make you feel better about you and help you with your family. And we're going to talk about some other stuff that happened, but this first segment here, and again, I lean on El Rushbo.
Larry in Fall River, Massachusetts. Hey, Larry, great to have you. I'm glad you waited, sir. Hi.
Thank you, and ditto. I wanted to say that I thank you, and I'm glad I got the chance to do this, that I became a doctor thanks to you. I've been a doctor a long time now, but it's thanks to you. And my second point is,
Wait.
I remember.
Wait, what kind of doctor are you?
I'm a spine specialist.
A spine specialist. And how did this program make you want to become a doctor?
I was a school teacher, and you talked about following your passion and how you've never worked a day in your life because you love what you did. And I was convincing myself that, you know what, I should do that too. And, of course, I had the grades and the academic ability. And, of course, I went to school in New York at NYU. So they're probably going to lose credit now. But that's okay.
I love hearing stories like that. I really do. Because, see, it was in you all the time.
Yes.
This passion was in you all the time. You just needed you just need a little kick that told you could do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the money and everything just appeared.
The money and everything just appeared. Don't yada yada over that, because that's where a lot of people get stuck. I got a passion. I really want to do something. Like JJ said the other day in the prayer meeting, I'm called to do something. I just don't have the money to do it. And I've told you many, many times, if you've got something, a passion to do something, first and foremost, people invest in people they trust and like. So if you're a trustworthy person and likable person and can explain yourself to people who do have money, you're likely to get people to want to help you. Firsthand, I can tell you for sure. If the deal makes sense, the money is there. If the business makes sense, the money is there. And it doesn't require you to be 30, doesn't require you to be, have a college degree. You just have to feel the passion and want to do something. And I know some people get tired of me saying it because, my gosh, I've seen people in our own chat who have said, you know what? You put the foot up my butt and I took a shot and now I've got a new business. Or, yeah, I tried and I bought some of gold or stock. And yes, it's that step. It's that first step of going, can I really do it? Nobody's ever told me I can really do this. You can do it. Maybe block out some of the BS that's around you, because that BS is what's keeping you from advancing and embracing your passion at any age. And like Rush said, or the guy said about Rush, I'm 64. I'm going to be turning 65, and I'm not going to tell you my birthday because you know what happens when people take birthdays. But anyway, it's coming up. And I want to make sure always that this is fun. Last couple of days hasn't been really a lot of fun because there's been so many people whining. I hate whiners. I despise people who lament. Life is too short, very short. I mean, I may have to leave here on Friday. I think I'm pretty going to be leaving here Friday. It may not be a show. I have to fly up north and to visit my family. One of my sisters got sick. And so I got to get up there because they didn't know if she was going to make it. And I found that out this morning and I went, you know what? It's a damn good thing I went after my passion. She's worked her whole life. And now she's on the cusp of possibly not being here. They think she's got a good prognosis. Prayer works. But at the same time, it's like she's always loved the beach. Her and Robin, when they get together, she just sits there and stares at the beach. And I'm like, why ain't you down here? Why have you never gone for it? Like, you know what? I'm done with this cold up in Connecticut. I'm moving to the beach. I'll find a job or something. Too many people think, oh, yeah, I'm going to retire. I might move to Florida, or I might move to North Carolina, or I might do this when I get retired. And then what do? You get retired and you wait to die. I don't mean that in a bad way. Remember the movie Shawshank Redemption? Hey, get busy living. Don't get busy dying. Get busy living. Go for it. That's what he's saying here.
Miracles, if you want to use that term, but it just occurred. And it was, I've been practicing a lot now, and still passionate about it. I'm getting a little older in my years and long in the tooth, but I have as much passion today than I did the day I walked into the school and walked into the anatomy lab. So it's there.
Well, thank you very much. I love hearing stories like that when anybody is able to get out of a rut, find out what they really love doing, and go do it. That's fabulous.
Find out what you like to do, go do it. You won't work a day. You'll never say, gotta go to work today. Nope. For the last, year or so when I've been doing this, and the trek has been from the bedroom to the kitchen to grab something to drink, and then walking in here and sometimes not even having shorts on. Underwears, but not shorts. I know it might be TMI, too much information. But at the same token, it's like, I love what I do. I love that, the dog's sitting right there, and the other dog is out there sitting on a couch with Robin, and she's having lunch. And it's not work. It's a passion. And then, this morning, JJ and I talked, and we're going to look at doing an investment deal with the property. It's not work. I don't have anybody who tells me I have to be here at a certain time, other than President Trump. And him going on early and kind of discombobulating everything. I'm like, hey, man, what are you doing going on at 12:30? My show's not till 1. Okay, that's enough. But anyway, I do what I want, when I want, how I want. And I'm 64 years old, where most people are slowing down, and I'm like, I need to get into a studio. I need to make sure that build out of this studio is going the way I want it to. It's a passion now. And people, I remember some of you guys were here, and you asked me when the election was over, it's like, hey, the election's over. What are you going to do? Is there going to be nothing to talk about? Y'all remember that? Do what you can and enjoy it, love it, and if you can find a way to make it pay you, then you really, really enjoyed freedom. I pray and wish freedom on all of you. Think about that. SV, he's in here sometimes, but he's not here today. He goes, hey man, I won't be around for the next 2 days. I'm going to go play pickleball. I'm like, dude, it's the middle of the week. It's Wednesday. And then I realized the dude's doing what he loves. When he wants to, how he wants to, and he don't got to ask permission. I pray that you don't have to ask permission for freedom. Now, I understand people are, restricted by finances, but don't be restricted up here. Understand, start looking. And so when I see people consumed, absolutely consumed by the whole Epstein thing, I think to myself, is that the devil at work? Because there's an opportunity cost. And every time you're facing or doing something here, it's something you can't be doing here. If you're worried about all this, something you can't control, then you're spending no time on the stuff you can control. And so maybe, I would just like to be that incentive for you and tell you, go for it. You got a couple years while President Trump and the Republicans are still in power, as horrible as things may look. But you have to wonder, what's the alternative? Well, I'm not going to vote for him. Well, he's not running that we know of. Well, I won't vote for the Democrats. I just won't vote. Okay, then you know what's coming then, don't you? If you see enough of your fellow Trump supporters saying, this isn't what I voted for, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to vote again. Well, then get ready for Mandami. Get ready for the Mandami in your neck of the woods. Because that's your choice. You either understand what you have and maybe it's got some warts on it, but it's still better than the maggot sandwich that they want to serve you. I don't want to deal with Mandami types in Florida. I don't want to deal with seeing the call that they do and they take over your streets. I don't want to see that. Anything is better than that. I see Alex is here, so let me go ahead and get ready to bring her in. She's here early, so, not really, it's 1 minute. And so let me tell you who she is before we bring her in. Where is Alex? Hold on. I had her information here. But when Congressman Burchett was talking, I clicked the wrong link. So let me just do this. Be 1 second, and I'll bring her on. All right, so I can tell you who Alex is. Here we go. Today, we're going to be speaking to Alex Sawyer. She's an attorney. She's a reporter with the Washington Times. She's the author of Lawless Lawfare. She's the host of Court Watch podcast. She's a legal analyst. She's appeared on, I think it was News Nation and a couple of different things. Here's a copy of her book. The new book is called Lawless Lawfare, Tipping the Scales of Justice to Get Trump and Destroy MAGA. Alex, can you hear me?
I can. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Did I describe the book well? Lawless Lawfare, Tipping the Scales of Justice to Get Trump and Destroy MAGA. So tell me, before we get into some questions, tell me and everybody else, because you haven't been here before, a little bit about the book.
Yeah, so I decided to write this book back in 2024 when I was covering all of the cases against Donald Trump during the election. I'm a lawyer and a reporter, and I was troubled by what I was seeing happening in terms of the precedent that was allowed to be set. It just looked like politics was really taking over our courtrooms. And I thought it should be detailed. And what I did was I spoke to Laura Trump, Don Jr., about how the lawfare affected the Trump family, their experience during that, and some of the insiders around the Trump circle who were dinged, Steve Bannon. I had previously interviewed Peter Navarro for the Washington Times. Both of them spent time in jail, over the whole January 6th subpoena. Others who were caught up in some of these, the Russiagate, General Michael Flynn, for example. And I kind of detailed really what I said was the lawfare started with the special counsel investigations dating back to Mueller, and then it kind of graduated to impeachments during the first Trump administration. And from impeachments, we then went to indictments. And what I found for this book, it was really tough research in terms of if you care about the First Amendment, if you care about political speech, from the 4 criminal cases that Donald Trump faced, he was under gag orders in each of those. And so he did about 90 campaign rallies while under criminal gag orders. And if you think anyone should be able to speak freely, it should be a criminal defendant looking to stay, out of jail. And unfortunately, that was not afforded to Trump. And I believe it's very dangerous that, that type of precedent in our country, it's very un-American, was allowed to be set.
Is he still under the gag order? I think in some ways, isn't he? I mean, what is going on with the Merchant case? They've never dismissed it. Is it just sitting there?
So I believe it's on appeal right now. I think that's where that one sits. And then the Fulton County one in Georgia was very interesting because, of course, Fani Willis was removed from that. And so it was up for another prosecutor in the state essentially to take it over. And to my knowledge, that hasn't happened. When I did my book, I had to turn in my manuscript in February, but I spoke to John Eastman, who was caught up in that litigation. And he said that it was his understanding that the Cobb County prosecutor was looking to take it over. I'm not sure if that happened yet. We'll have to see, but that one's still pending. These federal cases went away because DOJ guidance says essentially that you can't prosecute a sitting president. Right. But I do warn in the book that some of those charges that President Trump faced in the classified documents case down in Florida that Jack Smith brought, some of those have a statute of limitations of like 8 years.
Right.
So if you get a really aggressive prosecutor in a new administration that happens to be one potentially by a Democrat, I make the argument that because these cases weren't dismissed with prejudice, they were just dismissed without prejudice, that there could be someone that tries to resurrect some of these.
That's one of the things I've been trying to tell people. He's been living with this anvil over his head for quite some time, and a lot of people think it just went away. And even we'll get into the Epstein stuff in a second, but with everything that's been happening, people who are feeling dismayed don't understand. If you're a Trump supporter, he's not out of the woods after he leaves office. So people need to keep that in mind, so that they don't not go to the polls, that they keep voting to make sure that this thing goes away. So in terms
That's
of
true.
yeah, in terms of SCOTUS, a lot of people aren't paying attention to, that everybody hears about the rogue judges, but they don't hear much about how but many of these cases, one by one, are being overturned by SCOTUS. How many more are there to go,
Right.
and what do you expect to see on those?
Oh my goodness, you just hit on a heavy topic. So the Article 3 Foundation actually has an online tracker where you can go and look, and they picked out some of the major cases. So there's actually, I think, like 400 or so lawsuits against the administration, but they highlighted 266. About a third of those are immigration related. So for anyone interested in a certain case or topic, they can go to the Article 3 Foundation and kind of look at the docket, see what's happening there. But what we're going to have to start seeing is the DOJ moving to end or dismiss some of these cases that have these national injunctions, lift those. Lower court judges, if they abide by what the Supreme Court said, are going to have to pull those back and alter those, maybe make those just subject to the parties in the instant case. It's going to take time, obviously, with the sheer number of cases, but I think we've already seen some of these judges trying to get creative on how they can skirt what the Supreme Court said.
Why is that? Are they so in the tank that they're willing to throw their careers out there and be complete ideologues? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Why? What was the last one? The Obama judge says that even though it was a congressional law, you still can't pull funding from Planned Parenthood. How can she possibly make that kind of decision?
Right. I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said that there becomes some sort of bias or politics that sometimes, judges might not like what they have to do, but they say, hey, this isn't my territory. This is Congress. This is up to them to fix. But instead, they try to step in themselves. And it's something we see increasingly. And the term has been an activist judge, right? It's problematic. And I'm not sure what the solution is if it's not Congress potentially having to look at impeachment for some of these aspects if it continues to happen, or if individuals can go ahead and file ethics complaints against some of these judges. That's one way. It's an unfortunate situation. And one of them, especially, I was troubled by was the behavior of the Judge Merchan in the New York Manhattan hush money case that I detail in here, some of the conflicts involved with him, just the idea that he was even donating to Joe Biden and overseeing the Trump case. As most reporters don't even donate because of that appearance of a conflict of interest. A judge shouldn't either, right? So there was a major problem from the get-go there.
So what is happening? It seems so bad, and it was amplified in the last couple of days because Ketanji Jackson said something stupid, and Amy Coney Barrett, who's a Republican, had to slap her down. And in this last ruling by the Supreme Court, one of the liberal justices, Sotomayor, had to basically slap her down. Is she that incompetent?
So I would say Justice Jackson is one that is learning the court. She's one of the newest justices on the bench. And I think sometimes it takes a while for them to find exactly where they fit. Last term, I thought she wasn't quite to the left of Justice Sotomayor, but it looks like this term, with the way she is writing, as you note in some of these dissents, that she might be the furthest to the left.
Man, and I understand getting beat down by Amy Coney Barrett, but is there any indication that Sotomayor and Kagan are getting kind of ticked off with her?
I don't think so in terms of, they seem to be a pretty united bloc. Kagan generally is the more moderate one, but yet even on some cases that I thought she might join with the GOP majority this term, she didn't. One of those was actually the LGBTQ story hour one, where they were mandating that in school, and the group of religious parents had sued and said we deserve an opt-out option for our children. That was during oral arguments. Justice Kagan even mentioned, she said, yeah, I could see some parents having a problem with this, even if they weren't religious. And I thought with maybe that kind of statement that she could end up in the majority, but she wasn't.
It's bad. So what's the next decision you're waiting to hear? That you think, I mean, number one, they're not even in session right now and they're still acting. So what do you think's coming next?
Yeah, so right now, the next 3 months, they're technically on recess, and so they'll just act on emergency type orders, like when they're asked to step in. So it could be with some of these Trump cases, if lower court judges aren't, narrowing these injunctions, we could see the administration coming to the court to address that. So I think that's mostly what we're going to see over the next few months until they get their new docket started in October.
Does that have to go through the entire court, or if Trump brought up an emergency appeal, the receiving judge, I'm not sure what the term is, but I know they all have their own districts. If the receiving judge...
Yeah, they all have their own...
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically the way it works is the judge that receives it, who oversees that circuit, can either act on their own or defer to the whole court.
Okay.
Generally, and major matters, they defer to each other. So the whole court would then take a look.
Now, Washington, where I guess they would be filing most of these cases, who's the presiding justice in that district?
Yeah, I believe it's Chief Justice Roberts from my last recognition. I need to, it changes every time a new justice gets on the court. It kind of adjusts, so I'd have to look back. But I believe Roberts is the one. And yeah, you're right. Most of the cases come through that way.
From a legal perspective, what's the benefit to the Trump administration for bringing D.C. under congressional control? And is it viable? Is it something that he could actually do anytime soon?
That's a very interesting question. And honestly, I have not looked. It's been a few years since I've done an in-depth kind of look at the history of how Washington was founded and why, we don't even have a representative here. We have one, but they don't really get a vote. And the original thought was at the time that constituents can walk and talk to the representatives here in ways that those in other states don't have the opportunity to do, right? So I'd have to look and think about historically, how that would work. It is federal. The idea is it shouldn't be its own state because it's federal property, and the nation's capital should belong to the federal government, to everyone, really. And so in terms of what that legislation would look like, I would have to see before I say, if I find any faults with it. But a lot of the funding comes federally. I think that there's some questions about what these mayors have done recently here in terms of our crime, schooling. A lot of people have been unhappy about. Just overall care has been problematic. For example, elevating the idea of closing a street and making it Black Lives Matter Plaza versus addressing some of the stuff going on in most neighborhoods that's killing a lot of Black lives. The violence that we're seeing and the shootings in northeast, southeast. It's just unfortunate that where the city's resources have been sometimes isn't necessarily where the focus should be.
Right. Is your background like corporate litigation, or were you a prosecutor or a defense attorney?
No, so my undergrad is journalism. I went to Ave Maria School of Law, a Catholic law school down in Florida. And I kind of did internships in both law and news while I was there. And then after I graduated, I took the Texas bar, and I briefly worked for a First Amendment attorney before I went back into the news business here at the Washington Times.
Okay.
And then I've been at the Washington Times pretty much since 2013. I left briefly for 2 years. I went and worked for Steve Bannon when he was over at Breitbart.
Right.
And I covered the Trump campaign in 2016 for Breitbart. And then I eventually came back to the Washington Times and began the whole Supreme Court coverage for them in 2017. So that's really what I do. My day job is Supreme Court.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to lead into the Pam Bondi stuff and Epstein. The SCOTUS appeals, the people who are appealing these rogue judges, that's her agency, correct? That's Department of Justice. Does the Solicitor General, do they work under the auspices of the Department of Justice, or is the Solicitor General separate? And when does the Solicitor General? When does the Solicitor General work versus that? Yeah, what's the process there? Who's running these appeals directly to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, so that's a good question. The Solicitor General's office is within the Department of Justice. And so usually you see Pam Bondi, the one who's out speaking the most for the DOJ, the overall Attorney General. But the Solicitor General is the one who files the briefs, is the one who argues the cases. Right. So when I get a press release about a Solicitor General brief, it comes from the DOJ, but it's signed by the Solicitor General, not Pam Bondi.
Right.
So, I don't know exactly inside how much involved she is over talking to the Solicitor General, but it seems to be his office, his decisions on how to handle SCOTUS.
So this is a loaded question I just asked. I just had Congressman Tim Burchett on before you got on here. Is it prudent and legal for a prosecutor, and this being the Attorney General's office, is it prudent and legal for them to disclose information that is part of an ongoing investigation?
No, I would say it would be not prudent for prosecutors to release publicly information that's from an ongoing investigation. We see sometimes evidence or facts that prosecutors have when they actually arrest or charge someone, when those charging documents are filed and become public. You could go to the courthouse and see these. If you remember, I think that's how a lot of us found out about what happened with the assassination attempt with Justice Kavanaugh. What happened with, I think it was Nicholas Roski, what he brought with him, his plan, the 911 call. A lot of that was through public information from the prosecutors, but through legal filings that had to come through. So that's typically where you get the most information.
That being the case, and you're an attorney, and I've spoken to other attorneys who have said exactly the same thing, why are people, I will admit, just like I told Tim Burchett, her delivery, her messaging, her communication has been a complete failure. But knowing the legal aspect of things, why is everybody asking for the files and the information and all this stuff from the Epstein case, when if there is an investigation going on, they couldn't possibly release that stuff?
Yeah, and I think that the idea that people are interested is because there was not much transparency or communication about it during the prior administration. You had a lot of people on the internet looking to come up with their own explanations of what happened. So now that we do have a president and a attorney general who are open to taking questions, do so. Sometimes I think the answers that are given aren't what people are willing to accept. And also, the idea, she says sometimes that, well, this is it, this is closed, I'm not talking anymore about this. Is it closed? I don't know. Maybe she would have had a better comment if she said, the reason this isn't out is that there's some names in here that could be sensitive, could lead to harassment. Some people are still alive. There might be more information that comes. So what we can release, a lot would have to be redacted. There might be other messaging that could be, I think, more acceptable to a wide range of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of the doubters.
Because they did it with the Comey stuff. Hey, we're launching an investigation into James Comey and John Brennan. John Brennan? Yeah. And everybody knows when you hear those words, there's an ongoing investigation. Wondering why, from a legal perspective, she just didn't say that about the whole thing with Epstein. Hey, listen, it's an ongoing investigation. We can't divulge any information.
Yeah, I guess she could have said that. Maybe they aren't wanting this to go any further. Maybe they aren't wanting it to be an ongoing investigation anymore. I can't read her mind. I'm not sure. I'm guessing her focus, I would think, given the recent news, would probably be looking at some of the indictments that they want to get and charges against some of the people who have been ambushing these ICE officers. That seems to be the biggest messaging that I've been noticing out of the DOJ and the White House in terms of looking at actual criminal charges right now.
Right. A priority per se. Here's a question for you as a lawyer. If they are going to be launching an investigation against Comey and Brennan, is it possible that is going to open up, once they start doing discovery, they'll be able to find things that they probably already know, but they'll be able to dig into things that could lead them closer to the whole Epstein thing, being that Biden's administration just didn't do anything with it?
Again, that's something that would have to come out through discovery. And honestly, I think that a lot of what it would be years before we would be able to find anything out would have to pretty much go to trial or go to like criminal filings for us to be able to see much of that through any of the paper or what's introduced at a trial, which, like, you know, in Washington, it can take, in my book, I talk about the number of months from indictment to trial. It's like 26 months or so.
Right.
So if you think about it, it's like more than 2 years. So I wouldn't look for any answers anytime soon.
Yeah, because midterms, see, that was, what you just said is something I thought, is like, if it takes that long, why do it now and risk something happening in the midterms, and then, or would it be safer to wait and closer to the midterms, that once it's over, then you've got 2 years of free traffic basically to run with. Is that advantageous?
I mean, I'm sure timing is something like of the essence that they think about, but really when you're talking about a 4-year term and criminal investigations and criminal indictments and preparing for trial, that's really not a long time. You know, it's sometimes building these complex cases take years. So I think if any investigation is ongoing, they already would have started it. I think with the Brennan and with the Comey, they're mostly looking at the start of this whole Russia investigation, whether we saw perjury occur, possibly some of the threats against President Trump, alleged threats that we heard and saw recently, I think, from Comey in his little beach walks, the 8647, right? Yeah. So I think that's probably where they're heading, if I was to take a guess.
Last question for you. Actually, I have two. I always say last question, and then based upon what people say, I always have a follow-up question. Based on what you may know from a legal perspective, what's the statute of limitations on the Epstein stuff?
Yeah, so it would depend on what the crimes were and who could actually answer to them, right? So like Epstein himself is dead, so he would not be one. It would have to be somebody on the client list, and then what elements of some sort of crime could be proven, and then that specific crime would then have a statute of limitations. Statute of limitations are anywhere from 5 to 8 years. With rape, I believe in New York, there is no statute of limitations. I think the law had recently changed. I'd have to double check that. I'm not licensed in New York. So it's that's something that until you have the actual crime, you can't really answer verifiably. I do talk about statute of limitations and lawless lawfare in terms of Trump. I think I mentioned the classified documents case, for example. There's some of those statute of limitations that are longer than he'll be in office. So there is a threat that, if a Democrat administration were to come in, that they could try to resurrect some of those types of crimes.
Wow. Because I always wondered, and you mentioned New York, but that, unless somebody was trafficked, that wouldn't even be federal, would it? That would be up to the state.
So if someone is trafficked, you're right, like crossing state lines would become federal. And I'm sure there's some other aspects to possible change of currency. There might be other aspects that could make it, into the federal jurisdiction.
Well, I mean, just from talking to you, and it's been fantastic getting that insight, it seems like there's a labyrinth of stuff there, and it's not a simple thing because there's so many people in so many different locations that I can't imagine what you have to dig through to probably try and figure, and then find out if certain people still alive, and it'd be a nightmare. So I'd love to have you back on, talk about the book. When did you launch the book?
Yeah, so the book recently just came out in June. So just a few weeks ago. It's on Amazon. It's also online at Target and Barnes and Noble for anyone who's interested in going and finding it. It was very interesting talking to Laura Trump and Don Jr. and that both of them has said, they came to the realization that if their father basically didn't win, he was going to go behind bars.
Yep, we had Laura Trump on the show, someone I never had a chance to interview, and I wonder if you've had a chance. Have you been able to talk to Ivanka?
I have back during the 2016 election. I actually interviewed her when she was on the campaign trail with her father. She was into school choice. That was one of her topics when she was campaigning with him then. I know since then her and her husband have really tried to stay out of politics this time. I think that they were very much turned off by maybe the lawfare and also, of course, the assassination attempts, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. I swear this is the last question. It just popped in my head. Is there anything that we can do or people can do or the government can do about Norm Eisen just constantly, he and Mark Elias just constantly throwing out lawsuits, the frivolity of it. It just seems like they're throwing it as much stuff against the wall to see what sticks.
Well, the normal course of action is that a judge wouldn't tolerate a frivolous lawsuit and would dismiss it. But then you have the idea of forum shopping. And those types of lawyers like to go to courts where they think they're going to get the favorable result. And that used to be what would happen is they would go file a number of the similar lawsuits to different judges and hope one would issue a nationwide injunction. Now with the Supreme Court ruling that just came down, they really will only have one shot at a class action. So it kind of limits these activist lawyers from having maybe 5 cases across the nation to just having one class action, and that's all that their only chance.
All right.
So from here we'll have to see.
I have to apologize because you just said something else, and I love the law. What qualifies as a class action? I mean, do you just say I've got 4 people here and we're all going to sue? I mean, how do you get something to be a class action suit?
Yes. So it's a more complicated filing. You have to show different plaintiffs and how similar they are. So you can actually have, to your point, a number of classes within a class action. So, this first group, this second group, what type of relief they would get, how they were harmed. It's a bigger hurdle to surpass, to have a successful class action be certified. And it can take months to do so. So that's another realm where we might see some of these, I think what you were trying to allude to, some of these like long shot activist lawsuits kind of have to hit the brakes because they're going to have to do more work.
And more money. And definitely more money. Well, Alex, I could literally talk to you for hours because I just love digging into the law, but I don't want to just keep you here all day. So thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
We'd love to have you back on anytime. And I'm sure once we start seeing more stuff, Ashley'd like to get a hold of you and say, hey, let's go ahead and talk about what happened. Almost like an analyst in the game. What exactly happened here? Do you follow Margot Cleveland online?
I don't, not often.
Well, it's funny because she'll post something and everybody goes, I don't even know what you just said. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, oh yeah, the plaintiff, blah, 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 blah. And everybody's like, is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? There's no way for any of us to, no way for the layperson to
Sometimes it's both.
All right, Alex, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye. All right, everybody. I hope you like that. I mean, I enjoy talking about the law. I like digging into everything that's about the law. It's so intriguing to me because there are so many people who aren't lawyers who are out there saying things, and they're saying things to you and other people and they have big followings, and they don't have any idea what the hell they're talking about. I hope after listening to 2 people today, one a congressman, another a lawyer, both confirm that you can't release this information. And I'm sure there's still going to be people here going, oh, but they promised. I don't care what she said. She lied. Yes, she lied. She's a lawyer. I'm talking about Pam Bondi. And, there's no way they could release it. If they intend on bringing anybody to justice, there's no possible way. But yet you won't hear that from the peanut gallery. Was it a mistake? Sure, it was a horrible mistake. Is it catastrophic? No. Because as mad as people are right now, the way Trump is working and how he's continuing to work, it's going to be for the betterment of the country. There's still time to deal with that. We don't even know what the hell's going on. She flubbed the delivery. There's no way around it. You screwed that up. You sounded stupid. But, now you know for sure. I would hope you know for sure there is no possible way you can legally or prudently release this information if you plan on having any kind of prosecution. It is what it is. Doesn't mean I like it. Doesn't mean you like it. It's the law. We don't want to see President Trump be dragged through lawsuit after lawsuit. We don't want to see him dealing with Fannie Willis or Judge Merchant. We don't want to see him gagged. We can't understand how he's still not clear of those charges. It's the law. We can't understand how they keep going in and getting injunctions. It's the law. The law sucks when it doesn't do what you want it to do. And so, hopefully at this point, you've got some information under your belt that tells you, yeah, I get it now. It sucked. She should have opened her big mouth. She's a horrible communicator, but there's no way I could ever see this information, at least not right now. Lee Harvey Oswald's been dead since 2 days after I saw he supposedly shot Kennedy. So everything they released, it didn't matter because they weren't arresting anybody. Oh, that was the guy. That's it. Okay, here's everything we found. There's nothing you could do because the other people were buried. They were the deep state, and it was not going to arrest anybody else. So that's why that information came out. In all the big cases, Sirhan killing RFK. Then after that, they can say, hey, we got our scapegoat here, and so now I can tell you all this other stuff. Many of us have been looking for stuff like, the John Benet Ramsey case, that little pretty girl. But as long as they were investigating, everything else was speculative. Diddy, outside of seeing that one video of him dragging that girl down the hallway and beating on her, I didn't say anything else. The law is what it is. We don't have to like it. But then, again, it was Pam Bondi who opened her mouth and said all this other stuff. Dan and Cash, and blah, 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 blah. Hold on, you can't do it. Now you should positively know you cannot release this information. Does it taste any better? No, it doesn't taste any better, but it is what it is. Let me see here. Rhyme, you're a true parrot. You're the only one who's not running around with your hair on fire. We don't need to know everything. No, okay. Pamela, I think we need to know. I just don't think we need to know yet. Put some cuffs on somebody, or a couple people, or a whole bus full. Get them into court, and then televise the court hearing. Let us know everything at that point. Yes, I want to see these people pay. I want to see them go down hard. I don't care what side of the aisle they are. I don't care who they've contributed to. I don't care where they teach. I don't care where they are in business. If you touch the child, you need to go down. And I'm tired of telling people, no, I'm not looking the other way. I just know law. Well, a certain amount of law. And I knew it the whole time people were bitching. How did I know? Because I was wrong. I was bitching about Pam Bondi. And I talked to a few lawyer friends like, Barry, you might want to shut up. I'm like, what? What do you mean? You're letting your emotions get away from you. They told me. I'm like, what? Oh, I've seen all these tapes and everything. What do you mean that's my emotion? You can't. And that's why I wanted to bring lawyers on so you can actually hear it, because that's what happened to me. I was one of the first ones. Oh, this is awful. We gotta get the pitchforks and the torches out. And I'm like, hey, pump your brakes, bro. Doesn't work that way. It doesn't even work that way in a murder. You can't just say, okay, here's the bodies, here's what they did, and not until you put the cuffs on somebody. You don't get to see the DNA and the blood work and all the stuff you see on CSI. That's what happens on television. But it's supposedly, if you look at what they're doing on television, they're talking to other cops. Hey, look at this. Ooh, this is amazing. Oh, look at this here. Oh, yeah. Go ahead and put that in the bag, please. Oh, look what we found here. You got the fingerprints? Yeah. You're watching a basically an idea on how the collection of law and order works, but you're only watching it because it's a show from the inside. None of the people walking around in New York have all that information. Hey, did you see this? Oh, it's a casing. There's a fingerprint on the casing. You think anybody else saw it? No. We're just so used to seeing CSI. We're so used to thinking we're the ones who can solve this case. Hey, let's go ahead and let's see everything. We can get it done. Now you understand? I didn't say accept it because it sucks. But hopefully now you understand when I say don't expect anything right now. I was at a court case recently. The judge told the attorney what she needed to settle the case. The judge said, it doesn't matter what I think. I have to follow the law. I need documentation. I don't know why people on X are saying the things they say. Because, as you heard from Alex, she used to work for Steve Bannon. Bannon knows. Bannon's too smart. Bannon knows they can't possibly release this information. Alex Jones knows they can't release this information. But don't let them stop them from talking about it. Let's see here. I definitely understand it. Yeah, absolutely. The CEO of X did resign this morning. Yes, she did. We should expect clarity. Yes, definitely. Clarity, absolutely. Hey guys, she should come out today and say, listen, I gave you the wrong answers. Yeah, this is new to me. Yeah, but whatever, however you want to say it. But we've got an active investigation going on, and I can't tell you anything. Okay? At that point, shut up. Her problem right now is she I got it on my desk, and as soon as I get back to the office, I'm going to go ahead and release it. And I thought then, that's odd. That's odd. What's this? Pam has failed us not for Epstein. It's her having charged the hundreds who almost sold out the country. We can see charges. There haven't been any. It's been 6 months. As Alex just told you, it takes a lot. Let me address what Anna is saying right here. You have seen very clearly that these judges in the swamp protect the swamp. Every single one of these judges are looking for a reason to take down Trump. So if you bring a case before one of these judges and say, I got it, I am ready to arrest XYZ person. He's a senator and blah, 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 we're going to do this to him. What do you think the chances are this judge is going to say, I don't like the filing, dismissed? No, it better be airtight in a box with a ribbon on it, to where the point where he can't say it's dismissed. And with the level of corruption that we've seen, you're going to need a whole lot to make sure that this thing is airtight. Me personally, I'd rather that the case that they eventually bring is airtight, buttoned up. It's like in a submarine proof of water. So they have nowhere to go. And then in that charging document, then you see the indictment and everything else. And then you can start talking, oh, he did this, he did that, and everything else. Remember the Bob Menendez case? Bob Menendez, he gets arrested and they find gold in the Mercedes and in his suit pocket at his house, and they got pictures of the gold and everything else. They didn't show that until after he was arrested. That was the evidence that got him arrested, plus all the bank records and everything, blah, 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 blah. So what you're used to seeing is shown to you after there's been an arrest. You don't know how long they were investigating Bob Menendez. All right. So we just see it doesn't matter what you say. Doesn't matter how I say it. The ignorance of people, the emotion gets them to say like this when I didn't say anything like that. Larry, I don't know what the hell you heard, but you might want to rewind the entirety of this episode because nobody has said that. That's the problem. You're the poster child right there. You don't want to, I don't want to care, I don't care. That's why you get booted from the chat. I'm just telling you right now. That's why SV and some of the moderators is like, there's no hope for him. There's no hope for Larry Johnson here. This is an exact example. Then I'll get emails from people, I didn't say nothing. Just because I disagreed with you? No, you didn't disagree with me. You didn't listen. And I ain't got time for people who don't want to listen. Neither Alex or Tim knew the questions I was going to ask. There was a good chance that I asked these questions, and it was likely one of the two of them, or maybe both, would have slapped me down and said, no, Barry, you're wrong. They need to release all that information right away. And you just heard both of them say the exact same thing. Nope, can't do it. And then I get this comment. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, you get booted because if you're not even going to take the time to listen and try to understand, why the hell should we even entertain you? There's plenty of people on the internets that'll take your craziness. I ain't one. And obviously some of the moderators ain't that either. He's literally saying we think the rich should, what? He's literally saying we think the rich should screw the kids? Huh? Okay. Bill, say, buddy, they get an ounce of doubt in their head and no longer MAGA. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Say, Barry over 6 times. How come? How come you only put comments on the screen from the same 2 dozen or so people? Just wondering. All right, so I get that a lot. Let me just tell you. The comments here just go like this. They go really fast. So I'm looking at the camera right now. And I'm looking at the camera. And then when I go to take the next comment, I turn. And then, like, I don't know who Prativa is. And I just click there. Barry, who do you think you were thinking that we were supposed to listen to you? I don't know. I just told you law. Alex Sawyer just told you law. Tim Burchett just told you law. I don't know. Seems like you're the odd person out. Oh boy, it's crazy. If you don't understand what Barry's saying, shut up and listen. And no, I don't feel that way either. We can converse, but combative? Why be combative? If you have a different feeling, what I think is maybe you should substantiate it. If you start with something that says, I feel, there's really nothing I can talk about in that regard. That's why I like to talk to people who are actual, have some information. We'll get more lawyers. But you know what's going to be funny? There are going to be people I bring on this show who completely disagree. And that might happen as soon as tonight. Tonight, when I do the Rumble jump over, Kevin Sorbo will be here. And then the next day or so, JJ Carell will be here. And JJ, he's been crazy about this whole trafficking thing. Kevin Sorbo has been all over it. And they're not probably going to want to hear it. So maybe tonight I get some spankage. And then you guys will love it. See, Kevin told you what to wait for. But I'll ask Kevin the same thing. I'll tell you what the question is. I'll ask him tonight. Kevin, this is awful. I completely agree it's awful. Some of the worst stuff I've ever seen online. Ever. But should you release evidence before you've done an investigation? And as soon as you begin asking people that question, the smart, intelligent people will understand, no, you can't do that. The other people are like that other guy's like, oh, so you're telling me it's okay to screw kids? That's not what I said. That's not what I said. So you tune in tonight, I will actually ask Kevin Sorbo that question. He's going to be probably hot and pissed off just like all the rest of us are. Kevin, take a second, time out here. Is it legal and prudent to release information before an investigation has concluded? Very simple question. That's all I'm saying. Nothing more. It bothers me to no end. It's nightmarish fuel. It gave my wife nightmares. Many people I know have been abused. It's disgusting. I'd want to wring these people's necks myself. But that's not the society we live in. The society we live in says this person gets their day in court. And the last thing I would want to do, here's another question for you. Ready? What if John Smith gets arrested and there's all kinds of visual evidence of him doing all kinds of untold things to kids? Some of the worst things you can put in your mind, John Smith gets arrested for that. And then John Smith goes to court and his attorney stands up and says, Your Honor, they've tainted the evidence. Here's why they've tainted the evidence. You're going to have to dismiss the charges against John Smith. As heinous as John is, John's a disgusting human being. John, he's depraved, Your Honor. But you can't go forward with these charges. And when the judge says, against my will, you are correct, John, you're free to go. What's going to happen then? What would all of you think at that point? You're like, what do you mean he gets to go? Well, the law says his evidence was tainted. John gets to walk on his stuff. You would lose it. I would lose it. We would be so pissed off we wouldn't even be able to see straight. We want the judge's head. I want to make sure that when they bring these people in front of a judge, they stay there and they go down. I want to see Harvey Weinstein type stuff. You ain't ever getting out of jail. And Bill Cosby and everything he did, the only reason he got out because he's old and he's about to leave us, but they should have left him in there too. None of them should get out. OJ, he should have stayed. That's a whole nother story. Yeah, but the worst thing is you don't want someone who they got the drop on somebody and then he walks because people were screaming about release the video of John Smith. Happy Cat says that's what I'm afraid of, that the Dems will mess with the evidence. I wouldn't put it past them for a minute. I hear you. Gina, it has to be an airtight case. Barry, you don't have to explain yourself for your reasoning. It's your show. I don't mind people having a different opinion. It's the ones who think that they need to be insulting about it and think that they're gonna stay around. That's the part that gets me. So anyway, I want to focus on positivity, and I just wanted to bring these two people on today. One a congressman, and the other one a lawyer. Feel free to talk to lawyers on your own and see what they tell you. Now, before I go, there's a couple other things I wanted to share with you, and one of them is. Actually, a couple things. Let's go with this thing here, which is what happened, a lawsuit. Some of you guys are going to get pissed off. I know it's coming.
Over the past several weeks, the Department of Education has notified the Department of Education in California, as well as the California Interscholastic Federation, that they were in violation of Title IX. They were allowing men to compete in women's sports. Now, this is after years of their being in violation of Title IX. We informed them that if they did not change, that we were going to refer these cases to the Department of Justice, and we have done exactly that.
Thank you, Secretary McMahon, for all of your hard work. And today, the Department of Justice has filed a lawsuit against California Department of Education and the governing body for women's sports in California. We've made it very clear only women in women's sports under Title IX. An example in California, a boy who was in track and field. He would have lost every race. Yet in women's sports, he won over 36 medals. Those medals should be returned to the women, as well as no boys will be allowed in women's locker rooms. No longer. We have sued Maine. We're in litigation with Minnesota. We've sent multiple letters. And if you do not comply, you're next. The Department of Education and the Department of Justice, we will protect girls in girls' sports.
All right, I'm good with that. You good with that? Yep. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me about the Epstein. She's a different thing. Now, one of the things you have to realize, and Alex kind of touched on it, is when she was talking about the appeals to the Supreme Court, and I mentioned the Solicitor General. If you don't know what a Solicitor General is, go ahead and look that up. Pam Bondi is basically the spokesperson. That's pretty much what she does. It's very seldom is she going to be working on the nitty-gritty of a case. So the Solicitor General is the one who files at the Supreme Court. I bet you there's many people who don't even know what a Solicitor General is. Now's your chance. Go look it up. So in this regard, she filed, or says she filed, something against the state of California for not doing their job. But it wasn't her. Here's who actually filed.
Hi, everyone. Today, the United States Department of Justice filed suit against California for allowing boys to participate in girls' high school sports in violation of Title IX, one of the important federal civil rights statutes that we administer here at the Department of Justice. This year alone, California is scheduled to receive over $44 billion in federal funding to support its education system, and yet California refuses to honor federal law that protects the rights of young women. And we can't stand for that here at the Department of Justice. It would be irresponsible to do so. We're so proud of all the young female athletes in California who are striving for opportunities and accomplishments and trophies, and it's their right to do so. So follow along as we pursue the enforcement of federal law against California in this important lawsuit.
So as you see this, and Miss Dillon, who's handling the civil rights stuff in the Department of Justice, there's a lot of stuff happening that people aren't paying attention to. A lot of good stuff that's happening. I mean, stuff that's, for some reason, people don't pay attention to, don't want to look at, and things of that nature. Let me show you something. Because the Department of Justice is huge. There's not just one case. The Epstein Files thing is one case. You have to imagine that the size and complexity of everything that they're doing right now doesn't make an excuse for what she said, but if we're going to judge somebody, let's judge them by the sum of their work. Not just because of a stupid press conference or press conferences and binders and crap like that. For instance, the FBI has opened 250 investigations into the 764 child bad network. But because it's not the network that you fixate on and fantasize about, you act like it's not happening and this isn't important work. I'm disappointed with the outcome of the Epstein case, but not to the point of being delusional about the rest of the work being done to continue to combat child exploitation. And here it is, right here. FBI has opened 250 separate investigations tied to the violent online network 764 that preys on teens, top official says. And then down below, many of you guys who have followed the Data Republican, she says, good, I have reason to believe this group was behind the swattings. And then you get like this. Rolling on the floor laughing, stop coping and making excuses for your apologist behavior. That's the kind of stuff that it makes you think that there's a force out there that is trying to divide MAGA, that is working actively at this point to divide MAGA. I don't know how you look at something like this and don't say, wow, that's flipping awesome. Yes, it's happening. Maybe not that one, but others are happening. And you don't know about the other ones because unlike this one where a actual investigation has been announced and arrests have been made, don't let your guard down to think like what people are trying to get you to think right now. It's got a big name to it. In addition, in case you haven't known this, we've already arrested close to 700 bad guys, saving thousands of children from harm. Forgive them for not focusing on a dead one and a jailed one who no longer possess a threat to children. Sorry, I'd rather they go after the ones that are still a threat to the kids. And Sean goes, bingo, very well said. Prioritize doesn't mean ignore. Prioritize does not mean let them get away with it. Prioritize means let's help as many who are currently being trafficked, who are right now, today, are stuck in some dungeon somewhere. Why would I ever want to take my eyes off the ball of helping the ones who are stuck in this insanity right now? And I know every single one of you wants that. Every single one of you wants, hey man, go get these kids unlocked. Get them out of these trailers. Get them out of these apartments, wherever they are, hotels, these seedy hotels. Find them. Be tireless. Be aggressive. That's what I want to see. The guy's dead, supposedly. And that lady's sitting someplace. And trust me, can you imagine the life that these people live that were involved with Epstein? Because right now, I'm telling you what they're doing. They're all looking over their shoulders. See, while everyone else is screaming and fighting, they're looking like, oh shit, what the hell's going on? What is going on? All right. Real MAGA cannot be broken. Yep, find the missing children. Let's go after them. Amen, Barry. Chasing the past, not the future. Get it. Let's go after these people. All right, so I'm going to come back again. I've got Kevin Sorbo tonight. And instead of doing, well, no, I'll save this for tonight. Let me just look through here. Oh, by the way, I meant to tell you this. If you guys, nobody did it yesterday. I guess people are afraid. But if you want to submit a video and be a part of the show, we're going to try it. If people will leave the videos and take a chance, it's only going to take a couple of you. I'm telling you, if a couple of you submit videos, you can bet it's going to open the floodgates and people are like, I can do that. I'm not afraid to put my mug on a camera. Go ahead, submit the video, and we'll see. As long as you don't swear and do any crazy stuff, we'll put you on it. I think it'd be fun to have a whole Saturday show or something, going through the different videos that people have put together. Let me see here. All right, so yeah. I think it'll be like 7 or 7:30 tonight. And then we've got Kevin Sorbo. If everything goes right, he'll be here at 8:30. And then when we do the jump over, we'll talk to him for a half an hour. And then might be a movie night. Maybe Kevin has a movie or something we could show tonight. Not a whole 3-hour movie, something like 90 minutes. We'll see if we can't find a 90-minute movie. If you, in the interim, go ahead and look at Kevin Sorbo's, his studios. But before we go, I want to go through a couple quick changes. Wait a minute, I think is this from Ashley or SV? Let me see, Ashley, no, it's from SV. All right, so I'm going to close on an up note. A very, very, very uplifting note. This is important to me, to continue to try to bring positivity to you and not wallow in the shadows of the funk. All right, so what do we got first? First thing up, U.S. inflation index drops to 1.66. You can look at the chart here. The experts are fuming, cut interest rates. It's dropping basically off the chart. You can see it. Boom. It's time to lower the interest rates. What happens when he lowers the interest rates? You might want to go ahead and strap on at that point. And I'm not being, nasty. I mean, strap on to get the rocket ship. In addition to the United States, Giorgia Meloni is doing the same thing with Italy. She is now withdrawing Italy from the Paris Climate Agreement. It's dead. That thing is dead, dead, dead. Bye, New Green scam. It's completely toast. That is good news. Furthermore, we have this. John Fetterman is going to support Republican legislation to ban the CCP from owning American farmland. That means it will pass. That means, again, great news. There will be no more CCP owning farmland in America. That's more good news. Let's focus on the good news. Let me keep going. I got more for you, okay? What do we got here? I don't know if you've seen it yet. I was going to play the press conference later on in tonight's show, but put your dogs away. Trump admin ended the TSA shoes off policy, feet covered, air quality restored. You no longer have to take your shoes off when you go on a plane. You don't have to do that craziness anymore. That like I said, I'm probably going to be flying out Friday, and I can't wait to go walk through and not have to take I wonder if you still got to take your belt off and all that kind of crap, and basically get stripped naked before you get on the plane. But not taking your shoes off, I'm loving that. I'm pretty sure you guys would love that too. This one, okay. In terms of talking about opportunity, I'm going to save this one for last. Yeah, I'm going to save that one for last. Here's another one for you. NVIDIA just hit, no misprint, $4 trillion market cap. $4 trillion. Yes, trillion. The AI chip maker leapfrogged Apple to become the first company ever worth that much money. Its stock has exploded 1,500% in 5 years and 70% just since April. That's a couple months ago, for those of you who don't know the calendar. OpenAI, Amazon, and Microsoft can't stop buying its chips to feed their AI addiction, even as NVIDIA took a $4.5 billion hit from China export bans. CEO Jensen Huang is now a global power player, hanging with Trump at Mar-a-Lago and European leaders like it's no big deal. $4 trillion. That's one company. You see what's happening with this economy? And I think to a certain extent, people are trying to take your eyes off of it. And then you'll wonder, 2 years from now, it didn't help me, the Trump economy. All these things are happening and people are looking over here. And now here, this one here, that sometimes there's some personal information that happens. I mean, something that happens that you personally can grab onto. That you personally can say, that's me. That's going to help me. NVIDIA making $4 trillion may not be that important to you. This one is going to help a lot of Americans. And it's going to help those of us who buy houses and sell houses. Look at this. President Trump's federal housing director, Bill Pulte, says Americans can now use rent payments towards qualifying for a mortgage. It's absurd that someone can have a history of $2,200 a month for rent, but they want to buy a house for $1,750 and can't. Today, we are now allowing rent payments to count towards qualifying for a mortgage. Trump administration allows rent history to factor into home purchases. This is huge, huge, huge. There might not be a bigger thing passed by Trump. This may be bigger than no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime. This is monstrous. You are now going to be able to use your rental history to qualify for a mortgage. And that's really going to help people in the gig economy. That's really going to help people who aren't part of the W-2 type thing, who maybe work for themselves, and they can never get a bank to say, we'll give you a mortgage because you can't show how much money you've been bringing in. Whereas now you can say, listen, My mortgage, if I buy this house, is only going to be $1,200. I'm paying $2,500 now, and I've been paying $2,500 for the last 24 months. You can now show that. Hey, look, see? Oh. So you can do this. Yes, I can do it. Traditionally, if you couldn't show the income on a W-2, then now you have to pay so much more in terms of a down payment. Now, if you can show the history of on-time payments with your rent, you're going to be able to qualify for a mortgage. That is helping Americans, individual Americans. This other stuff is noise. Focus on the signal. The signal is how Americans are having a better life. I'm going to stop there for a second and looking at people like that would, yeah. Oh, wow. After my divorce, I moved into an apartment that's never quiet. My goal is to get back into a home. Now you can do it. Now you can do it. Not true. Oh, Bill Pulte works for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and he just posted it as a rule, and people are like, not true. Okay. Oh, God. Oh, man. Did Powell step down? No, there's been no information about Powell stepping down. That's been a rumor until it's... Don't listen until you see it actually happen. He's going to be gone. I don't think he's leaving anytime soon until he, why not? Unless President Trump fires him. Rental history is huge. My niece and husband were wonderful renters. This would have helped them. Now they can show their history. Absolutely. Barry, silver I bought 4 years ago has now doubled in value. Just bought 20 more ounces. Go for it. Go for it. What else we got here? SP, Joel S. Shake my head. There's some people you can't even tell them what in the hell has happened, and they still will look at it and go, "That's not true." Okay, you go sit over in a little bus. All right, the rest of us are gonna. I'm a licensed loan officer. Well, you better go back and go look up what Bill Pulte... Now, okay, let me just say this. Okay, just so you know, maybe it hasn't got down to your bank yet, but this is from 7/19 this morning. You may have not got the memo. And by the way, I will qualify, it is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac mortgages. See, that maybe that's why Joel hasn't seen it yet, because he might work for a different kind of company. But this is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Government, federal housing. This isn't just like Joe's mortgages. It's not for Citibank. This is federal housing. So if you go through Freddie Mac or you go through Fannie Mae or something like that, this is what it is regarding, not Empire Mortgage Group. Wow. Come on, people. Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. You see what I mean? It's so tough doing this sometimes because people can't wait to think they gotcha. And I'm like, dude, the president announced it. Bill Pulte isn't some dude on Twitter. He's the federal housing director. And if you think it's wrong, go do your own research. Hold on. Let me just show you how it happens. So I put this in Google, and when I put this in Google, this is what happens. There's this thing called a search engine, and when you put it in the search engine, there's going to be all kinds of news quotations and stuff like that that'll allow you not to look stupid. And you can see right here, Realtor.com. Yeah, see? Realtor.com. I'm pretty sure my wife's a realtor, I'm an investor, and it's right here. Paying rent on time could help you get a mortgage after key change at Fannie and Freddie. But Joel says it's not true. Joel, you now look really stupid. Wow, Joel. I'm afraid for your clients. maybe you might want to not comment, bro. Because people here like, I don't want that loan officer. Oh no, hell no. Not him. No, Joel, you steering people. You steering them to the 12% mortgage. That's the best you can do, okay? I know, I'm a mortgage officer, so that's the best you can do. It's right there on Realtor.com. Paying rent on time can now help you get a mortgage after key change at Fannie and Freddie. We'll go into this. A new policy change at mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac could help first-time homebuyers qualify a mortgage if they have a track record of paying their rent on time. Effective immediately. Joe, you better get in the office. You're missing something. Fannie and Freddie will allow mortgage lenders to use VantageScore credit ratings to assess borrower credit worthiness in addition to or instead of traditional FICO scores. FHFA Director Bill Pulte said on Tuesday. Don't be like Joe. That's all I'm going to say with that. don't be... Bro, there's probably, I don't know, 6,000 people watching, and there's probably going to be another 20 or 30,000 who watch after we're done, and they all just saw you go, and they all just, what the hell is this? What's wrong with this dude, man? You think you got the gotcha? Ooh, boomerang. Oh, boy. Let's go back to talking, but yet again, people like to fight over that, too. Yeah, it's just in it. It's just... All right, so let's continue before I get delirious here because sometimes this stuff just cracks me up. I don't get mad. I just laugh at it. All right, let's move on to what President Trump is doing. He's been busy. Tariff letter. This one goes out to the Republic of the Philippines in Manila. They got hit. Next one is, this one is to, where the hell is this? Sultan and Yangdui of Brunei. Sultan of Brunei. You gonna pay up. Here comes another one. This is the President of the Republic of, where the hell is, I don't even know where Moldova is, but they're gonna pay up. What else we got? Let's see here. President of the People's Republic of Algeria. Pay me. What else we got? Oh, this one here, His Excellency Mohammed Simbabuba, Republic of Iraq in Baghdad. You're gonna pay me. Anybody else here? Oh, we got one more. This is from Abdulhamid, His Excellency President of Libya. Pay me. Oh, we got more. His Excellency, the Grand Pupa of Sri Lanka. Pay me. Are we done? Are we done? Do I need to refresh? Or are you just kicking everybody's butt today? Are you just out here just making sure everybody is just gonna pay you? Wow. You gotta love this. You gotta love it. Your president is out there doing everything he can to make your life better. Everything to make sure your life is better. We got tariffs hitting. We got hundreds of billions. We got trillions with NVIDIA. We got you're able to use rent to basically qualify for a mortgage. And it's only $345. He's talking to African leaders, and and yet people are worried about stuff that doesn't affect their daily life. And you heard from two people today, a congressman and an attorney in Washington who told you some stuff. It's up to you what you want to focus on. Me? I'm about to go look at some property that hopefully that some of these people can buy with their newfound mortgages that they might be. And you know what the big thing is? Just to let you know, unless you've seen this information, how many renters out there will never know that it's available to them? Because there's people like Joel who won't tell them. They don't want to work and deal with all the verifications of stuff with Vantage credit so that you can see if something. No, there's no. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are doing it. I just covered all that in about 7 or 8 minutes. That's all stuff that's going well. And yesterday you heard them stack up the wins on top of each other. And you heard Bondi and Linda McMahon talking about, and Harmeet Dillon, they're suing California. They're going to make them pay for everything. Oh, there was even something. Let me see if I can find this, because this was incredible too. I mean, there's just so much happening so fast. I didn't have a chance to show this to you, but here's something for you. Again, breaking: President Trump's DHS just hit Harvard with a formal subpoena due to their criminality of foreign students on campus and their refusal to cooperate. President Trump is putting American students first. This stuff just keeps happening. There's so much information that's happening, and that went through the Department of Homeland Security. And so this is, Kristi Noem's domain, and this is what she had to say about it. If Harvard won't defend the interest of its students, then we will. We try to do things the easy way with Harvard. Now, through their refusal to cooperate, we have to do things the hard way. Harvard, like other universities, has allowed foreign students to abuse their visa privileges and advocate for violence and terrorism on campuses. Not playing these silly games anymore. We're coming at you. So I understand. I will close by saying this, so no one ever has to ask me again. I find the stuff that went on with Epstein heinous. I wish every single person, regardless of political party, faces their music. I know they will. See, maybe that's what comforts me. That's what comforts me, is I know they'll face justice. I have no doubt they'll face justice. Why do I feel like I know they will face justice for what they've done to these kids? Because whether it's here or a lifetime after, they're going to face justice. And that gives me some comfort right now, is because they're not getting away with it. They're never getting away with it. Our pleasure would be to see it like right now. But if you feel comfortable and you're a believer, you're like, oh, you're going to get it. And it's going to be a lot worse. But if you don't, that's okay. I'm going to focus on this stuff that makes my life specifically better. Without disavowing what happened to these kids and these people, that is definitely sitting on my shoulder, but I can't do anything about that. Nor can anybody on X. Prosper. Opportunity. Go for it. See you at 7:30. If you feel like hanging out. I'm back from the future. I forgot. See, SV's not here to remind me, and sometimes I forget to do the super chats, and that would have been a bad one. I would have just signed off and went, oh, I gotta go. But we'll go back to the music in a second here. By the way, going to play some music tonight before we jump into Kevin Sorbo. And just to warn you ahead of time, some of you might not like the music. I'm sure our boy BLS is going to like it. But hold on, what just happened? Let me just refresh this real quick. I'm getting it ready so I can put it up. Okay. Alrighty. Let me just go ahead and read this, and then we can move on. All right. SV's like, I was just about to text you. I'm on it, bro. I'm on it. I almost forgot, but I didn't forget. I'm on it. All right. So what do we got here? So we can talk to everybody and tell you guys how much I appreciate everything you guys do. All right, let's do this. By the way, look who's in the corner down there. Hey, Midas, what are you doing back there, buddy? He's sitting on his little cushion. He's got like 3 cushions in here. He never uses that one, but hey, what's going on? Oh, boy, he's funny. Come here, buddy. He's on his other bed. Mega Pat, thank you. Not one F left to give. Barry, your commentary is the best. Thank you. Keep on rocking. Megapit, thank you. Your show last night changed my perception. Thank you. I hope today helped as well. Mama Mima, per a defense attorney, Bonnie making a formal statement exonerated potential actors. She can't. So that's why they have to do this stuff. Sorry not to try to belabor the topic, putting a period at the end of that sentence. Tilly, Barry, I'm like a sponge, but I do not thirst for water, thirst for knowledge, and I want to thank you for filling my thirst. Wow, that's very nice. Thank you. Tilly, hello to all Fanfare family. Fazul, when 47 says, I don't know about a thing, I smile. Oh, he's a Sharpie, like the old saying, as a fox. Just another knucklehead. Tip Jar, thanks for all the coverage. I appreciate showing the African president's meeting with DJT. Also, Sun Tzu tutorial last night. Thank you. And that African president's thing, like I said, I was scheduled to go on at 1, and then he just showed up. So sometimes that schedule can get bounced like that. Demon of Cybertron. This is a hard pill to swallow for some, but I guarantee y'all that if Matt Gaetz was AG, he would be in the same place as Pam, not releasing anything. Yep, I agree. Fazul, negativity often comes from so-called friends. They're not your friends, sometimes even family. Don't confide in them. Go forth. Good point. Farah Benoit. This Epstein memo is strange. Unsigned, no date. Maybe a third party published it, and that's why Trump admin was blindsided by it. Yeah, it was Axios who published it. Trisha, God's hand is on them. It's his timing. Have faith. Everything that is hidden will be brought to light. Exactly. Job for 9. Barry, can you get Curtis Sliwa for an interview? Yeah, I can ask Ashley. No worry, I understood the name. G-Mark, I was repeating what Larry Jackson said, not what you said about the kids. What a jerk he was, not you. You're an excellent communicator. Well, thank you. BLS, Barry, I'm so excited that you're going to show the Black Sabbath reunion and the other bands that played. Clip it up. There's tons of them out there. I can't show, obviously, all of it. I think it went on like 8 hours, so I'll pick some songs. You know what? Why don't you send me a link to the ones you like? Ed Powell, thanks, Barry and Mods. Good work after you. I'm not mad at you, Barry. Keep up the good work. No mad. How do we leave a video? Let me get to that in a second. Ashley, please invite attorney Andrew Branca. I don't know who he is, but I will let Ashley know. All right, so how do you leave a video? So if you'd like to leave a video that we can use on the show, just go here. Go to fanfareshop.org/submit video. That should take you to a page. It's on Rumble. You got to be on a desktop, or I think you can do it from a tablet. You can't do it from your phone. So a desktop, laptop, or iPad type thing, and you can do a video. I'd love to have you guys be a part of the show. We're going to try something different. Maybe people won't like it, but if you do like it, give it a shot. We won't make any fun of you. Don't worry, I know ladies are like, I don't like the way I look. Here's a clue. The best lighting you could have is 100% free. So if you want to see yourself in the best possible light, go outside, and when you do it outside, don't put your back to the sun. Face the sun. You got that? So the best time of day is usually sometime around 4 o'clock, because that time the sun's overhead and you won't be blowing your face out where you got to squint. So about 4 o'clock, it's over your head, and it's very bright, and you're going to look perfect, absolutely perfect. Go outside about 4 o'clock and hold up your what do you call it? Your pad. Hopefully you can do it by a pad. If it's a computer and you got to do it on a laptop or something, then you might need some lights. But good luck. Love to have you guys. Let's see. Who wants to bet what color her hair is? I don't dare. All right. I'm going to put the music on, and then we shall see you guys tonight. All right? Back to the music. Where is it?